Welcome to day 2 of the 2021 Hammer Strength Clinic. We're here in bright and beautiful and sunny Florida at Fort Myers at Florida Gulf Coast University in the home of the Eagles. And we're going to get in. We got a great lineup for you today of 4 wonderful speakers. Our first one we're going to start out with is Chad Scott. He is coming to us today from Coastal Carolina. He is the Assistant Athletic Director of student and for Student Development and the Head Strength and Conditioning Coordinator. Chad also played, went to school and 4 years at Eastern Kentucky and played fullback.
Yes, sir.
And without any more ado, we're Chad Scott. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How's everybody doing this morning? Good? Good to have you all. Thank you all. Yes. Yes, sir. Hey, I want to say thank you to everybody at Hammer for the invite, and appreciate Chris from asking me down, and look forward to kind of sharing a little bit about our program at Coastal Carolina. When I was trying to come up with certain things to talk about, it's been an unbelievable past 2 seasons, 3 seasons at Coastal. I've been there now 3 seasons. Last year we had a lot of fun, we had a lot of good kids on the team, and a lot of great things happened, and we're fortunate enough, obviously. Okay, we got this? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just leave that on.
Okay. So, and then obviously this year we've had a great year as well. And so, again, when you go into a program, I was thinking of, just kind of, what we need. And so it's kind of what I want to talk about today. 3 essential muscles to train in any program. How training the heart, the mind, and the tongue shapes Coastal Carolina University football. Now, in order to kind of know something about us in the weight room, I figured we've got to kind of start with our head coach. Okay, so our head coach is named Jamie Chadwell. I was fortunate enough to work with Coach Chadwell at Charleston Southern. I met him in 2013, and we've kind of been together ever since. First and foremost with him, he's a strong Christian man. He's a man of faith. He's a husband and a father, leads by example. He walks the walk. He's not going to be one way with the guys and then be somewhere off the field, be another way off the field. And he's very detailed. He's consistent in what he wants from his players and his staff. I don't go into work every day trying to figure out which version of him I'm going to get. He wants his players. He wants discipline. He wants accountability. He wants that from his staff. He wants excitement. He wants energy. And he truly believes in the family dynamic and the responsibility and honor of being called a coach. Something I'm going to get into later is, being a coach is not a job. And I learned this a long time ago. Being a coach is a calling. And I truly feel blessed. And I think when anybody gets into coaching, it's something more than just a profession. It's something more than a job, that we're actually anointed and we're called to be a coach. So, got a video for you coming up here in a second, but this is something that's in our staff manual. This is something we talk about. And this is something, when our time in this profession is come and gone, only one thing matters. What did we do with the provisions we were given as coaches? Okay, and I truly believe at the end of the day when I leave this earth, I'm going to stand in front of the Lord. He's not going to be talking about the winning games, the losing games. He's not going to be talking about the seasons we had, the seasons we didn't have. He's going to ask me about the thousands of athletes I had an opportunity to mold, shape, and share his message with. And for me, that goes a long way. We'll sit there and that last one, I can always do more. At the end of the day, I can always do more. I get blessed to meet a bunch of athletes, a bunch of coaches. I can always do more. So, and within our program, we got, and I'm going to share the mottos and different things of our program. At the end of the day, the foundation of our program, the foundation of our players, the foundation of what we're doing in the weight room, the foundation is love. And we made a video for our seniors for Senior Day, and this is kind of video coming up, and I would kind of share this with you, and that's it. The foundation of our program is love. So here's this.
Can you reflect upon this group of super seniors and seniors, just kind of a general message of what it means going into their final home game?
This is really about love. Our emphasis this week was love, and it was more so love for each other, love for the university, love for the opportunity, love for the game. Because of that love they had for each other, they made a choice to say that we're not going to take the easy way out. We're going to see this through. If you look at the trajectory of this group, what they came into, what they struggled through, and then where they've ended, obviously being, Sun Belt champions last year. I don't know if you can, or if I can put into words what they've done, this football program and really the university in general, just with the spotlight that was brought on to this university over the last, 2 football seasons. But their dedication to each other, their commitment to seeing it through, I think through those tough times, the adversity they had to go through, the struggle, to see the benefit of that struggle, no matter what circumstances they go through, they've seen they can go through tough things and come out on top. And so they're a great group that as a collective whole, there's a lot of really good individual players in that, but as a collective whole, they've put a stamp on our FBS history to this is what the expectations are in your program, and it's because of what they've done and the commitment they made.
What's your job?
Love each other.
What's your job?
Love each other.
What's ours?
Love us.
Family on 2, 1, 2,
Family.
We got unbelievable seniors. We got unbelievable leadership, and that was our video for them before senior day. And if I can figure out how to move to the next slide. All right, there we go. I knew I wasn't going to get out of this thing without messing up the PowerPoint. All right, so theme for our program is believe. Okay, you're going to see that in our facility. You're going to see that on T-shirts. You're going to see that. Our guys are going to know this. And I think the one thing within all of this stuff that you're going to see today is if you ask one of our players can talk about this. I think it's one thing to have a motto for a program and then the players have no clue what you're talking about. Okay, so we'll share this with them every day. This is not something that we talk about. This is not something that we put on T-shirts. This is something this is a foundation that we stand on. This is who we are. So you'll see where it says believe and the I, where the I was, that's the number 1. And the number 1 is symbolic of the fact that we're one family, one team, one purpose, and that one purpose is to love each other, period. That's their only job in this program as players, is to love each other. And it starts with belief. It starts in believing. There's so many people out there that are going to tell you, hey, you can't do this because you're at X school. You can't do this because of whatever. And so we got a bunch of guys that believe in the process and they believe in what we're doing. We define this by asking for their best. Okay, and then we got the word best in our program. The best is a comparison. We're asking for your best versus the best. Okay, so whatever the best is, whatever the standard is, that's what we're asking for. We're asking for your best. My best might look different than your best, but we're looking for your best, and that's complete focus on us and no one else but our best. Okay, and then we define best by believe. Okay, believing in what we're doing, effort, sacrifice, and toughness. And I think the word toughness gets thrown around the wrong way a little bit sometimes. You got a lot of guys that are struggling one way or the other. We got a lot of guys that have come from hard backgrounds. Got a lot of guys that come from easy backgrounds. Toughness means a lot of different things. But one thing is, with all 4 of those, none of those characteristics require talent. So when they come in our facility, regardless if you're the 5th string guy that's never going to play it down at our university, you can still believe in what we're trying to do. You can believe in yourself. You can believe in the coaches, believe in your teammates. You give us unbelievable effort every day. You can sacrifice. Sacrifice. A lot of times sacrificing is things that you want right now, giving that up for something you want down the road. And that's what we tell the guys. We go out on we're in Conway, which is like 5-7 miles from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The guys got the beach right there. We got an opportunity in the off season. You got an opportunity to go out Friday night. You can make bad decisions. You can do all the things. You can stay out. Or what we want down the road, we want a championship. We want things down the road. We want success on the football field. Do you have enough? You have enough in yourself to sacrifice that time and then actually stay in, do the right things, hydrate, all the sleep, all the things like that. So our core values: competition, discipline, accountability, and passion. That's something that Coach Chadwell does not budge on. Okay, we're going to compete every day. And what's funny is with our core values are in line with our coaches as well. So our coaches, I've never seen competition sometimes as some of our coaches. They get out there and they compete against each other, with the discipline, accountability, passion. Our players are going to be disciplined, everything from the way they walk, in the room, the way standing behind the line, just different things like that. We try to provide some opportunities to display that discipline, accountability. We're going to be accountable to our actions. We're going to be accountable to our teammates. We're going to be accountable to everybody in our program. And then passion. I think passion's huge, okay? And I credit our football coaches for finding kids, that are passionate about football, finding kids that are passionate about life. Okay, if you don't have passion in our program, you're not going to make it. All right, you can't. So you got, especially if you're being a college football player, you got to have some passion in what you're doing if you're going to go there and be successful in anything. So culture, we want to talk a little bit about the culture, try to explain what we're trying to do here. Okay, what exactly is culture for us? Culture is a shared passion for achieving a common goal. It's the beliefs and the values that develop amongst our group. Okay, and we've all heard it. A lot of people have talked about it. You know, it's team above self. You know, we talk daily about being a part of something bigger than yourself. You know, and last year was really neat because, you know, we were 5-7 in 2019. And then, you know, COVID and everything hit. And then we had an opportunity where football was taken away. There was a little bit of time where we weren't even sure we were going to play the game of football that, you know, you shut down, then you're not shut down, and then the season's going to, you know, get shut down. But then the season goes, and only so many conferences end up playing. But then we get to play. And that was the biggest thing is, and I'm going to touch on this later on, but we get to play. So we got to play football. And then as that kind of wheel started rolling and you started seeing, we were only allowed 5,000 people in the stands, but, you know, there was 5,000 people that were so excited to watch football. And they were so excited to see the kind of what was going on at Coastal. And all of a sudden the students came, you know, and again, it's just being something bigger than yourself. You know, and the we over me mentality, and this is something also, the last one is being focused. And I got this from Martin Rooney, and I love listening to him talk. I love, you know, having and just kind of checking his stuff out. And it's us being focused on what's best for the team and not being the best on the team. Okay, so we get a guy that might be the best on the team, but he might not be the best for the team. You know, so we try to tell our players, let's be focused on being what's best for the team and not being focused on being the best of the team. All right, again, cultures, our values, our beliefs, our attitudes, and our behaviors. Okay, I'm 42 years old, so when I was younger, I was kind of a little heavy-set kid. My mom used to put me in husky jeans, made me feel, she called me husky all the time. At the end of the day, I was fat. I was a fat little kid that ate a lot of candy and made a lot of bad decisions as a little kid. You know, and everybody would say, hey, you are what you eat, okay? And I used to hear that, you know, that was kind of, I think that was like a thing in the 80s. You are what you eat. But at the end of the day, with culture, that's so true because just like you are what you eat, you are what you think, you are what you say, and you are how you act. All of that is function in self, okay? So if you got a mentality of a certain way, or you got the voice, and you know, you're saying certain things, or you're acting a certain way, that's exactly who you are, all right? And that's just being aware of what it is. So the 3 essential muscles we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the heart, we're going to talk about the brain, and we're going to talk about the tongue. All right. So, getting into the heart, training the heart, okay? Again, when I took over and I came into the program, I had 128 guys. I had 128 guys that I had to figure out. When you walked into the program, I had to assess, you know, the way they move. I had to assess all the stuff. Before I did any of that stuff, I didn't do programs. I didn't do X's and O's. I didn't do anything. I worked on their heart first. All right, we want to talk about the heart. So we talked to the guys about love, okay? And like I said, love is our foundation. So we talk about 3 types of love that we're trying to show our players. 3 types of love that are within our program. The first type of love, okay, is eros. Okay, eros, talk about that. Eros is a me love. It's based on feelings. It's I love music, I love food, and then there's philia. Philia is a we-oriented, a shared interest. Okay, now, we don't want those 2 in our program. I don't want those 2 types of love. That's not what I'm doing right here. And the reason why is because what they have in common is they're conditional. Okay, so if we go back, let's see if I can go back real quick. We go back, you know, philia being a we-oriented, it's a shared interest. We own a business together, okay? I like Mexican food. He likes Mexican food. Let's go eat Mexican food together. So I love you because we're gonna share this interest. Well, all of a sudden, I don't like Mexican food anymore. I like Chinese food. Well, I can't be with you. You get what I'm saying? So it's all conditional-based love. So the love that we're talking about, is agape love. Okay, and we talk about that. We hit on this every day with the guys. Is agape love. It's the highest form of love, period. It is a Christ-centered love, okay? And then you go down and kind of slide. It's Christ laid down his life for us. Agape love is laying down your life for your brothers. Laying down your life for the people around you. It's selfless. It's sacrificial. It's an others-oriented love. It's based on being unconditionally committed and willing to do anything for someone else. And again, that's being part of something bigger than yourself, okay? And that's you giving up something you want in the moment individually for something you want down the road with your brothers. You know, and it's putting your own wants, it's putting your needs aside for what's best for the group. So, with all of that, okay, there's 2 things our coaches and our players have, okay? So our coaches are going to have an it. Okay, every coach that comes in there are going to have an it. We got the same it across the board. Whether you're a strength coach, whether you're an athletic trainer, whether you're a football coach, D coordinator, whatever, your it, and that's what we say, your why, is to capture the hearts and minds of our players while investing in their lives. There's two words in that. To capture, okay, to capture, and then the last one is invest. We want to invest in their lives, okay? We don't want to just be a part of it. We want to invest in their lives for the rest of their life. We want to be a part of it, okay? We want to capture their heart. We want them fully immersed in ourselves and what we're trying to do. And you heard it in that video earlier, and their job is to love each other. That's it. That's the players' it right there. Love each other. So we ask the guys at the end of practice, break it down every day at the end of practice, what's your job? And they say to love each other. And we say, what's your job? And they say to love each other. And then we say, what's our job? And they say to love us, for us to love them. And that's it. And it's pretty simple when you sit there and think about that, all right? And you make it super simple. It's all it is. Their job is to love each other. And that's I kind of jumped a slide on that one. So, all right. So another way we do this is called CPR training. Now, when I took over and I came in, and it was funny because Coach Chavo, I'll give you a funny story. He said, hey, we got CPR training this afternoon. I said, Coach, I'm certified. I don't need to go to CPR training. What are you talking about? He says, what do you mean you're certified? There's no certification for this. I said, Coach, pulled out my wallet. I'm CPR certified, man. So he said, no, listen. It's coach-player relationship. So CPR training, CPR time is coach-player relationship time. And what we want to do out of this is to commit to loving, nurturing, engaging, and serving our players on a daily basis, serving their hearts. Okay, we're going to spend time with them off the field. All right, we want to let them understand that we care for them more as the people of who they are versus what they do on the field. And so CPR time is all over the place. Okay, our quarterbacks, our offense coordinator, quarterback room, he'll bring Xbox in, and then he'll come in, he'll come up, and typically it's only an hour or so, 45 minutes, and it's important. And I forget who we were talking about it yesterday. It said twice yesterday was and I'm gonna paraphrase what was said, but if you want to measure it, or if you measure it, or if it matters, you measure it. All right, and we talked about that. So that's kind of what we do. This is scheduled out. So in the grand scheme of study hall and film time and weights and all this stuff, we block out 45 minutes for CPR time. We block out an hour. If it goes later, then it goes, so be it. So they might go up there and play a Madden tournament. CPR time might be individually with an O-line coach taking an O-line guy and just walking around campus with them, talking about them. They might come over to their house. They might play video games. They might do something. Again, it's spending time off the field and investing in their lives, trying to figure out what their interests are. Okay, so this is something else I got. Coach Corella at Georgia Tech. I talked with him a few years ago, and I got that great ideas, and for whatever reason, it just never clicked on me. And this was probably maybe 2-3 years ago, and I've done it ever since. I interview every athlete, especially when I meet them. When I walk in the room, first thing I do in the first however many weeks, months, whatever it takes me to get to it, I'm gonna sit down. I got typically anywhere between like 5 to 10 questions on there. I might get one of them. I might get all 10. But I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk. I want to know where they're from. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know why they're here. Okay, so you want to interview every athlete. And I want to earn respect. I don't demand it. First team meeting, I sat there and I brought everybody together. I said, listen, guys, I want y'all to understand something. I don't want y'all to respect me. I'm not going to sit here. Don't respect me. And they're all kind of looking at me kind of crazy. I said, let me earn it. I said, I didn't earn respect by taking a job, signing a contract, and standing in front of you. That's not respect right there. I said, over the course of however many months, it might take you a year to respect me. It might take whatever. I said, but at some point, I'm going to earn it. And I want you to understand that I'm going to earn that respect. So, earn respect and don't demand it. We're going to spend time, like I said, with athletes outside the weight room. We're going to go to campus functions. We're going to see them. How many times you go to a basketball game or you go to a baseball game and you might see a handful of athletes sitting off to the side. And the easy thing is, just because maybe you've been around athletes all day, you want to go sit by yourself. Or you want to kind of go way up in the nosebleeds and kind of just be around it. Okay, you're missing a great opportunity to be around the guys, be around the ladies, and go sit down and talk with them. Whether it's just for a few minutes, you'd be surprised if you do that enough, it'll be flipped to where you're sitting there at a game by yourself, and you'll have athletes come over and dap you up, be like, hey, coach, and they'll sit with you. So things like that. Locker room pre- and post-practice. That's an unbelievable time to hang out with the guys. And I don't understand, unfortunately, a lot of people, maybe you don't have time to do it or whatever, but pre-game, like pre-practice, we have to get out to the practice about 3:30. Guys get out of meetings about 3. So from 3 to 3:30, I sit in the locker room. and I'll just hang out in the locker room. I'll kind of walk around. Now most of the time I'm trying to shuffle them out to the field because they just want to sit in there and take their time and listen to music and everything. But but I'm gonna sit in the locker room pre-practice with a guy. I'm gonna sit in the locker room post-practice. I'm gonna hang out with them a little bit. That's a great time. All right, and then go to their classes. Go to their class stuff. And when I first got there, somebody asked, "Hey, anybody want to do class checks?" And everybody's got their head down at staff meeting. Nobody wants to do class checks. Well, I mean, we live in Myrtle Beach. I mean, it's like this out here. I'm stuck in a weight room. I'll do class checks. I'll go out, and so I go out, walk around campus, and then I just start running into guys. And next thing I know, I'm walking around campus for 30 minutes. I missed all my class checks, so everybody was present that day, So, and just, it's funny, we got a defensive end. He plays for the Philadelphia Eagles now. He was with us last year. He got drafted in the 6th round, Teron Jackson. Amazing, amazing, amazing human being. Hands down, one of the hardest working guys I've ever been around in my entire life. So anyways, he's in a weight room one day, and he says, "Coach," he says, "you mind if I lift later on this afternoon?" He says, "I got to go to a math fair." I said, "You got to go to a math fair?" Now, mind you, Teron's 6'3", 275. I mean, he's probably like 4% in body fat. I said, "What you doing at a math fair, man? What you got going on at a math fair?" He said, "Well, I got to present." And and he's an applied mathematics major, and he's got 4.0, and he's got 2 degrees. And again, the kid was going to be a millionaire in anything that he does, But I said, "All right, I'll give you. You tell me exactly where you're at, and you tell me exactly what you got going on." And then I said, "I'm going to see you over there. I want to watch this, And so he gives it to me. I go over there to the math fair, and I am not in my wheelhouse when I walk into the math fair, And it's just not my scene. And I walk in. And imagine this dude, again, he's 6'2", 6'3", 270. Everybody else in that room is not 6'2", 6'3", 270, so he stands out. But he gets in there and he starts talking, and he starts talking about like the physics of a river moving one way or the other versus this and that. And, I'm just sitting there and bobbing my head, this sounds good, and the professor walks over and introduces himself to me. He's like, "We've never had a coach come over here and do this, and what do you think?" And I was like, I think his calculations might be off, but, so I'm trying to act like I belong. I'm just trying to play the game. Anyway, so, and it was unbelievable to watch him just interact in something outside of football. And then, so now, fast forward 2 weeks later, we're sitting there kind of talking in the weight room. I had 2 other players walk over to me and say, "Hey, Coach, I heard you went to the math fair to go see Teron." And I said, "Yeah." And we kind of chatted about it. And they were like, "Hey, Coach, I got something going on right here." And they want to be celebrated. They want to be seen. They like to know that you're pouring into them. So, that was just kind of funny little story there. But find out what they're doing. If they're doing a presentation or if they're doing whatever, go and support them. Support them as people, not just as athletes. And you want to love every athlete relentlessly. That's a huge word. Relentlessly, regardless of what they do. Whether they're late for weights, love them. If you don't discipline them now, but love them. And I'm a big believer, that from that love, that discipline shows love. Okay, you want to have a heavy or steady, persistent love for everyone who calls you coach. It's an honor and a responsibility. Like I said, I think it's a calling. I think it's an anointing to be a coach. And I think regardless of if you're at, if you're coaching kindergarten kids or whether you're coaching the highest level NFL kid, I think if you do not understand the responsibility and that power of the word coach, now you're missing the boat there. And this is one somebody told me a long time ago. I wish when I was 24 years old and I became a strength coach, I wish somebody would share this with me, but it took me having 3 kids. I got 2 little boys and a girl to understand this, okay? You're responsible for someone's child, all right? And if you have kids, whether it's the mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle, coach, guardian, whoever, somebody looks at that child, somebody looks at that 18 to 22-year-old kid who's making mistakes, who's struggling, somebody looks at him the same way you look at your own kids. And when you kind of flip the script a little bit and you think about that, like my middle son needs to be disciplined, but like my daughter, when I look at my daughter and I look at all my kids, I know they're going to mess up. But whoever's in charge or whoever is under their care from a strength and conditioning standpoint, teacher standpoint, mentor standpoint down the road, I want to understand that they got their best interest. And again, like I said, I missed the boat a lot of times for a long time until I actually understood that, that we were in care of someone else's child. Know every athlete's name. It's something simple that a lot of people don't understand. Okay? Know every athlete's name. Know them by their first name. Know them by their last name. A lot of times it's easy to sit there and, I got a jersey, hey, 42, come here for a second. Okay, well, he wasn't born number 42. You know, if he plays long enough, chances are he'll have another number. You know, now everybody wants single digits, so you can't do that. You know every athlete's name. You'd be surprised if you call them by their first name, what that does. All right? And I got this 10-minute rule. Now, handful of years ago, I was down at a CSCCA conference, and I stayed a couple days later, and I listened to some Brian Kane had this thing, and we talked about the 10-minute rule. Okay, 10 minutes. This is mandatory on my staff. This is mandatory within the weight room. In the first 10 minutes that I have a group come in the room, we're going to make physical contact. We're going to make name recognition with every person in the room. Okay, so when we go out to the practice field, this is every day. Every day we got stretch. I got 7 minutes and like 40 seconds to stretch before practice, somewhere around there. Even though I got 10 minutes on the clock, I got 7 minutes and 40 seconds to be done. You know, so, but in that, we're going to find all 128 guys, and it's something simple. So, you know, like, what's your name? Nick. It might be, hey, Nick, hey, let's be great today. Something like that. It might just be walking up going, hey, let's go, Nick. Let's have a great day. Hey, how you doing? You know, and again, it's physical contact. So 2 things human beings crave. Okay, 2 things human beings crave. They crave physical contact, okay, and they crave name recognition. Those are 2 things as a human being that lights us up immediately. Lights us up. Gets us excited. So right there within the first 10 minutes. And it's easy to do. It's easy to do. You stand at the doorway. I think there was a video that went viral, you know, with the teacher that decided to take extra time and have handshakes for all of his athletes, or I mean all of his students. All right? And you just see those kids light up when that happened. All right? Again, physical contact and name recognition. Something else is the high five study. Okay, now this goes a while back, but high five study, okay, there was a study done. Okay, and I don't have my dates on this, but again, going back with physical contact, okay, they had a bunch of people get together and they looked at the NBA, okay, and they decided they were going to measure the amount of physical contact and positive affirmation contact. And what they came to find out is they looked at every NBA team, and then at that particular time, they looked at every team, and the team that had the most high fives, like by a landslide, like hundreds and thousands of them, whatever, it was the Boston Celtics. Coincidentally, that was the year that they won the championship. And you know, and it was all crazy and everything. But it's high fives. It's pats on the back. It's positive affirmation. So they took it a step further, and they wanted to look at players individually. All right, so they grabbed a bunch of people together, and they looked at all the players individually. Ended up being Kevin Garnett. That was the same year, coincidentally. That was the same year Kevin Garnett got the league MVP. You know, and so again, all of that stuff matters. You know, and then something else we did, I was talking to this past summer, actually, or past last year, I heard Luke Day talk, and he talked about how he was doing the love language test with the guys, okay? And I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to give it a thing. You know, and if you do the love language test, you know, and my wife and I have done it before, so there's 5 things, you know, and it's quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch, and receiving gifts. Okay, and your love language is basically how you respond, how you interact, and everybody's love language is different. How many times as a strength coach, how many times as a coach have you given a guy a T-shirt or you given a guy peanut butter and jelly and it's just like, thanks, coach, and then they walk off. They walk off. And then 2 weeks later, that's that shirt that they got. It's got sleeves cut, or it might be sitting at the bottom of the locker room. Problem is, receiving gifts might not be their love language. Okay, and so I decided to go through our entire team. So this is how our team ranks out. Our team, quality time. And it's quality time by like 200 votes. Our guys crave quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation. Physical touch, receiving gifts, they're okay. They're okay if they never get that. Quality time's huge. Okay, and so what I did was I made a spreadsheet, and I looked at all of our guys. And I got, you know, guy A over here, you know, his is quality time. And then I look over at this guy over here, maybe his is words of affirmation. Okay, so now when I get in the rack, and I got it mentally, I got on a little spreadsheet, whatever, I can mentally look at it. I know this guy right here, in you know, battling in a squat rack, doing like that, his love language is words of affirmation. Okay, so I'll go over, and I kind of coach him up, kind of talk him up, gas him up a little bit. That's what he wants. That's what fuels him. Okay, and then obviously same thing as we kind of go down the line. I think it just gives you an opportunity to kind of understand your players a little better and kind of dive deep into their minds some. Bring your family around the team. You know, and that's kind of what I was saying. I was, you know, with Coach Chadwell, It's awesome. Coach Chadwell wants our families around. Coach Chadwell wants me to bring my kids to work. He wants me to bring my kids, my family, his kids. You'll be at our football practice, and I know it's not like this everywhere in the country, so I'm blessed to have it. But you'll be at our football practice, and you see our DC's son, our head coach's son. You'll see my son. They'll be over there playing on the dummies, throwing ball, doing whatever, running around the whole facility. And I think that's huge because it gives you opportunity for your guys. It gives you opportunity for your guys to understand how you function as a father. They get to see you other than a coach. You know, many of our guys, I think we got 68%, like 68% or 61%, something around there, of our team comes from single-parent households. So a lot of those guys have never seen a father in the home. They've never seen how that works. A lot of them have only seen the mom. They've seen a grandparent. They haven't seen a husband and a wife together, husband and wife working as a family unit. They haven't seen it. All right? So let them see how you interact with your wife, with your husband, with your kids. You know, let them see what true love family environment is. If we're going to be a coach, think about this. If we're going to be a coach and we're going to squat and we're going to teach a squat, okay, we're going to teach sets and reps and squats, what's going to carry over more in their life? Teaching them how to be a good husband and a good father, or teaching them how to do squats? You know, and so that's just kind of the stuff. You look at the big picture, what truly really matters on this. It'd be transparent. You got to be transparent with these kids, straight up. If they're not being good, you got to tell them. You can't sugarcoat anything. And that's kind of the thing with love. And when I go back to agape love, there's this vision that like love is soft. It's not soft. Like I said, there's discipline, there's accountability, there's passion, things in our core values. Transparency is huge. All right. I don't want to talk to a kid one way and then turn around and say something else to somebody else. I'm going to be 100% transparent in what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my life story. I want to share with these kids. I want them to understand, and I want them to understand what I've gone through, so in case they have an opportunity to create the same issues or go down maybe the same path that I did negative at however many years ago, that they got a chance to break that up. You know, and I'll tell you something really neat about if you share something, and that just drives that just deeper love, you know, into what you're doing. So kind of give you a little story real quick. And I told Chris this the other day. So back this summer, you know, we're training the guys, we're ready for the season, we're doing all this stuff. And then my son, my oldest son, he ends up getting hurt. So he fractures his hip and he ruptures his abductor, okay? And so we go and get whatever, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, different things to the doctors. Come to find out, doctor calls us up. Doctor calls us up and said, hey, listen, you know, we're going to have to look at this a little bit more. We found the fracture, we found that, but we also found a tumor in his leg. And so we got to get the tumor looked at, and, you know, we're going to have to go down to the pediatric cancer unit, and, you know, we need to get a biopsy, we need to do all this. Okay, now we're getting ready for a season at this point, and season could be the least of my worries once I got that news. I didn't care about the season at that point. You know, so I bring the guys up, and I say, guys, listen, here's the deal. I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm not coming to work for a while. I'm going to miss some work because I need to be with my son, I need to be with my other kids, I need to be with my wife. So you're going to see me coming and going, and I told them why. All right? And I did that one reason because I didn't want to be a distraction on, hey, why is Coach not here? Why is Coach not doing this? You know, and then over the course of however many, you know, the months, you know, we did the doctor's appointments, and, you know, and my son's on crutches. He was on crutches for 4 months, and then I bring him into the facility, you know, and you see the guys kind of wrap around him and love on him and lift him up, you know, and the biggest thing is with them is I share that story because, again, like I told you, I didn't want to be a distraction, but I also wanted to see them understand that, hey, when we talk about adversity, when we talk about running through the line and adversity, like there's real life adversity that you got to deal with. And then how you deal with that, you know, is your decision. You got an opportunity, and we'll talk about perspective here in a little bit, but you got an opportunity to handle things certain ways. You know, so I kind of shared that with them. You know, now fast forward however many months later down the road, we're actually warming up to play a game, and I get a call from the doctor, and I told one of my assistants, I said, hey, stretch the guys, I got to go. And so I'm on the other side of the field, and I'm talking to the doctor, and he says, hey, listen, we just did all the scans, we did biopsies, and we're confident that it's not cancer. You know, we're confident that it's an infection, blah, 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 and, you know, we're going to do another scan, whatever, you know, and so come to find out he didn't do it. And so, you know, the players see me, you know, and I'm over here, and I'm, you know, thanking the Lord, whatever, and they ask me, we're 45 minutes before a game, and they asked me, Coach, what's going on? You know, how's your son? And I said, man, you know, there's no cancer. He's good. And, you know, and you get engulfed by like 30 dudes. You'd have thought we won the game right there. And the energy was freaking through the roof right there, you know. And I mean, I've been on cloud nine, obviously, ever since then. you know, and again, share your life story. Don't bottle things up. You know, as a coach, you have a support network of 100 people around you that can lift you up the same way. You know, and you open them up, open your life up, be personal, okay? And this is the last one. I was trying to explain this to one of the kids. If you sit and think about it, you know, and this is maybe me being old, but I'm 42 years old, all right? So essentially what I do is I'm like in a real life time machine. You know, I can see that 18-year-old kid, I can see that 22-year-old kid, and there's some kids that you'll go through and they'll be like, man, that was me. That was me. I see what he's doing, you know, and they're like, man, I was really dumb at that time. Hey, come here. Let me share what's getting ready to happen to you, you know. And so you got an opportunity to go back and shape the future for your athletes. So moving on, training the brain. Establish a why. All right, we're going to establish a why. All right, and a why is just a purpose. It's a purpose of why we're doing it. Okay, and I tell the guys, in order to be a football player, you got to be insane to be a college football player for the simple fact that you get 12 games. You get 12 opportunities to play. Okay, it ends up being something around the area of 48 hours. Okay, so you train 9 months for like 48 hours of competition. You got to be an absolute psychopath to understand that, to go in there with no purpose at all. Okay, so there's got to be a why. And that why might be, you know, why might be changing, you know, your family history. Why might be your mom, your dad, whoever. Establish a why and post it in the locker room. Post it in the weight room. Come in the weight room with your why, and if you're in front of a mirror, smack it right on the mirror and stare at it the entire time. You know, we make them post it up in the locker room. We'll talk about it. I got everything written down on their whys. I know their whys, you know, and we'll use it as motivation with them, you know, and some of the things we'll talk about too is, you know, let's say a kid, his why, and we got a couple guys that, you know, got an opportunity to go play in the NFL. And they want to play in the NFL, and they obviously see the money side of things, but their goal is to play in the NFL. And if you know their why, maybe they're struggling during a conditioning session. And you ain't got to put them on blast in front of the whole team or anything like that. But you can kind of go over, you know, get into his ear a little bit during a water break. When you tell him his why and you remind him of his why in the face of that adversity right there, he gets right back up and he gets going. Okay, so we want to understand and stress the importance of perspective. Okay, so what perspective is? Perspective is an attitude or a point of view. It's a get to versus have to. Okay, so every day at practice, every day at when we play games. Okay, guys come out of the tunnel on game day. The guys come out of the tunnel. They come out at the 50-minute marker on the clock, and so I got the 50-minute marker to the 40-minute marker pregame. And then they come in, they get in their lines. We bring everybody close. They get in tight, and we start it the same way. I say, guys, today, tonight, whatever it is, we get to play football. You get to play football. You know, and you'd be surprised how many times if you change that attitude of we get to play football and we get to lift weights, we get to do this, it completely flips the script on that. And they go crazy, you know, they go nuts and doing all the things, you know, and so training the brain, hands down easily is lifting weights. Seeing the other side of the coin, you know, and something else I saw too, I thought it was really neat. It was Coach Corella actually talked about this. He had a number 6, and it was a little slide or whatever, but he had a number 6. This guy on this side saw the number 6. This guy on this side saw the number 9. Okay, train the other side of the coin. Understand what the other person's seeing. Okay, listen to what they're seeing because you might not understand what they're seeing. So if I'm standing here and I'm going, you know what, that's a 6, and that kid's over there going, Coach, that's a 9. No, I'm a coach. That's a 6. But if you were to walk over, take 2 seconds, have that conversation, you look down and you see that's a number 9. Okay, so train the other side, or see the other side of the coin. With perspective, 2 things. You can either see a field of dandelions. When you look at a field of dandelions, you can either see a field of weeds or you can see 100 wishes. It's just flipping your mind, flipping your look at it. Okay, and I love this one because the guys always ask, Coach, you a half full kind of guy or a half empty kind of glass kind of guy? I said, man, I'm just happy to have a glass. I don't care if it's empty. I don't care if it's full, whatever. If I got a glass, I got a chance. And so that's what I tell the guys. Don't be happy. Don't be worried about if your glass is half full, half empty. Be happy that you got a glass. All right, character traits of the week. This is something else we do. Okay, so each week has a purpose. Each week has a meaning. Each week has a word. And within our program, it's gonna get put on the TVs. It's gonna get put on there. Okay, we're gonna have words of the week. Okay, words of the week, development of the week. Okay, again, talking about affirmation, talking about communication, things like that. We want to pour as much information into these kids' brain as possible. Okay, and then really hit on it. So each week we're gonna have words of the week. This week right now, we're playing a bowl game. We go down to Orlando next Tuesday. So our word of the week right now is family. Okay, because this is the last game. This is the last game of our 2021 family. We got 29 seniors. Okay, super seniors in there as well. We got 29 seniors. So next Friday, or this coming Friday at 11 o'clock, they'll be done playing football. They'll be done. They'll be moving on to the next chapter. So we'll lose 29 guys. So our 2022 family is going to look different. So words of the week this week is family. Words of the year, kind of similar to going with being in them understanding with their whys. We're going to ask them for a word of the year. Okay, so they're going to post in their locker room what their word of the year is. And that word could be anything from, focus to finish, whatever it is. And when you sit in the locker room, you get an opportunity to sit in the locker room, kind of what I was saying. Sit down, you look up, you see their why, you see their word of the year. Hey man, why do you got focus on your word of the year? Why's your word of the year focus? What's that about? And then they tell you. They want to tell you. They want you to know what it is because they want to explain it. They want to talk about themselves a little bit, And I used the word green lights in there because that was mine. I'm a huge Matthew McConaughey fan. Big Matthew McConaughey fan. I got some guys of mine that are probably watching that understand what I'm saying about that. But, huge, and in his book, Green Lights, phenomenal book, outstanding book. You get an opportunity to read it. I think it's a great read. It's awesome, But that was the word I used was green lights because there's so many times you're presented with opportunities. You're presented with experiences, and we pull the reins back and we decide not to do them, whether it be fear, whether it be whatever. If you just take the step forward, you find out those green lights are pretty special. Those green lights are sitting there. You got an opportunity to have an experience in life that's going to take you down the road. You have a conversation with. You meet some great people. You have some great experiences. Go to some great places just by taking a step forward. And so we're going to, like I said, we're going to display those words. We're going to talk about them. We're going to put them in daily reminders. Yeah, so that was early developmental last season. So don't destroy me on some of the things you saw. I told our video guy, I was like, really, man, we got some pretty bad jumps in there. But no, that's the thing. So we're going to give a word at the beginning of when we run. We're going to give a word at practice. We're going to touch on it at the end. You got an opportunity at the beginning of practice. Got an opportunity in the practice. We can kind of focus on that. Okay, and so again, training the brain, teaching and winning through adversity. Okay. This is kind of some of the stuff I was saying as far as getting after the guys. We're gonna put the guys in the fire when we run them now. I'm a big believer, and we do 60-yard shuttles. I love 60-yard shuttles for what we do. I think it fits us, and so we're gonna go 5 back, 10 back, 15 back, or we might go 15 back, whatever. But the biggest thing is we're gonna do them as a team. Okay, so we're gonna get in there, and obviously we'll progress and all that stuff up the right way. But we're going to put the bigs on the line, put the middle on the line, put the skill on the line. I might put a clock, say 40 seconds. Okay, so it's 40 seconds on the clock. So the bigs go, and then we won't blow the whistle until the last big goes through the line, and then the middle will go. And then the last middle goes through the line, and then the skill will go, and then we clock it. And then we'll flip it, skill, middle, big, whatever, and we'll kind of go back. You want to see a team work together? I'll tell them straight up at the very beginning, hey, we got 4 of these. We got 4 of these today, and you have to get them all 4 in a row. And we might do it, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, whatever. But you get to number 3 and one guy misses, we're done. We go back to 0. We're not walking off this field till we do it. Okay? And you want to see guys compete a little bit. All of a sudden, those skill guys who that's easy, that 60-yard shuttle is easy for them. All of a sudden, they're invested in what the bigs are doing because it has something to do with them. And I think that transfers over to what we're trying to do on Saturday. Because the skill guy, he might do all the great things, might catch all the balls. But if the O-line don't block for the quarterback, that ball's never getting to him. So it's an opportunity to kind of put them in the fire a little bit. Partner complexes. Coach yesterday talked about the Javort complexes and things like that. I think Javort complexes are great. I love to use them. I actually like to use them as a finisher sometimes with the guys. We'll load the weights up. I'll put them as a partner. I say, listen, guys, bar can't hit the ground. Bar can't hit the ground. You're on my cadence. You're on my whistle. Bar can't hit the ground. You got a partner that can help you. Partner can help you, but you can't take your hands off the bar. You know, and so we'll go through some things, and you get in there, and those guys are grinding, those guys are doing whatever, and then all of a sudden, they're sitting there, and you got a guy on his knee, he's holding the bar like this, and they're learning how to communicate. They're learning how to work together. Suffer and strain as a group, I think that's huge, okay? So like I said, all the love and the foundation I was talking about earlier is good. But you got to get them to suffer. You got to get them to strain, and you got to understand so they can work together. You know, there's days I'll go to our assistants, and I'll go up to them, and I say, guys, listen, here's what we got going on. Today, I'm going to get this team to fight each other today. I'm going to get this team to argue. I'm going to get this team to bicker. I'm going to get this team to think. You all manage everything else. I said, but I'm going to turn the heat up on these guys. I'm going to see if we can't fight each other a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll get into things. I'll start calling reps back and things like that. So there's a controlled adversity that goes with this. And the reason is we're coaching them up. So if they don't get exposed to any kind of adversity until game 1, okay, we got a lot of problems. But if we can sit there and go through that and coach that side of it as well, then we can be successful when the defense can't figure out how to stop somebody or the offense can't figure out how to score. And then instead of sitting there fighting each other, they're sitting there on the sideline, coaching each other up, fighting for each other. So we're going to teach winning individually, and we're going to teach it as a team, okay? You kind of set an expectation at the start of a training cycle of something they don't want to do. Work to get to the top of the mountain together, okay? So, like we'll do stadiums or we'll do shuttles. Like I told the guys, hey, listen, here's the deal. We're going to run 30 shuttles. We're going to run 30 60-yard shuttles, okay, 30. And we'll hit 2 in the first part of the summer, all right? Now, 30 is absurd. I'm just throwing it out there, but we'll do 30. And I'm like, Coach, man, we just did 2 and we were destroyed. And you build it up through the summer and you build it up. And then however you fix it, whether it's 30 stadiums, 30 whatever, you give them an expectation at the beginning of summer that they don't think they can get. And by the end of the summer, it's just normal progression on doing things. They crush it. But what that does mentally for them, they're like, man, Coach, however many months ago, I didn't think we could do this. This is amazing. And it just kind of gives them a little extra juice as you move forward. All right, again, every day is a game. We're going to keep track of everything, win or lose. Okay, win or lose. There's a lot of people that say, and I've said it, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. The fact is, you either won or you lost, period. Okay, we don't get any style points for getting better. Okay, you either won the day or we lost the day, and we're going to keep track of that. And I'm going to tell the guys, we're going to keep track of it within the group. We're going to keep track of it how it's going. My 8 a.m. group might have lost that day. When my 10 a.m. group walks in, I'm going to say, hey, guys, listen, 8 a.m., they lost. And here's why they lost, and I'm going to map it out. Here's what they did. They came in with a bad attitude. They walked. They went through the motions. They lost the day, okay? I'm not going to say, hey, we got worse. We didn't get worse. We lost, okay? And the same thing. We didn't get better. We won. If you get better, whether it's 1% better, you won the day, okay? So we're going to create competitions within the groups. I'm going to have an 8 a.m. group, a 10 a.m. group, and just say maybe a 1 o'clock group, depending. We're going to have a competition. Okay, and at the end of the day, you'll be surprised. My phone starts blowing up every day about 2:30. Hey, Coach, who won today? Who won it? Who won it? And we're going to celebrate it at practice. We're going to get together. Hey, Coach. I'll bring the head coach. It'll be like, it comes my time to talk. He'll say, Coach Scott, you got anything? And I'll say, hey, Coach, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. got it. And 8 a.m. guys, they start talking a bunch of trash to the guys. So it's really neat. C.L. Shep came to visit us. If you get an opportunity to listen to anything that he puts out, that dude is absolutely unbelievable. One thing he said that really struck a chord to me was, stop acting like you get to live twice. I'll probably say that to the guys at least once a day. Stop acting like you get to live twice. We got one shot at this thing. We got one shot. One shot. You got one shot at an experience. Stop acting like you get to live twice. All right? And also give thanks. If we woke up today with the only things you thanked God for yesterday, be thankful. Coach Corella actually said that. I thought that was pretty awesome. What if you woke up today with the only thing you thank God for yesterday? A lot of times we don't thank God for anything. We wake up, we go to bed, we go whatever, and then we only end up thanking God when we actually need something, okay, when something comes through, or we ask when we need something, okay? So be thankful for the blessings that we got, all right? We're going to share Proverbs. We're going to share Psalms with the guys every lift. Every lift, I'm going to go through it, all right? Every lift at the beginning, it takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. Again, just talking about pouring into their mind, pouring into their soul a little bit. My buddy at Charleston Southern, he would always sit there. He was the one who turned me on to that. He said, Coach Scott, you always want to get strong. He's actually watching right now. You want to get strong, read your Psalms, And so we tell the guys, Proverbs for wisdom, Psalms for strength. And again, let's see, I might have missed one real quick. All right, I'll come back to this. So training the tongue. Tongue has the power of life and death, Proverbs 18:21. Tongue is one of the most powerful muscles in the body. It's one of the most dangerous muscles in the body. So we can either speak life into each other, or we can speak death. We lift each other up in that group on the way we speak to each other. The way I coach the guys, the way I talk to them, we can either lift them up or we can tear them down. And this is big. An unchecked fire doubles in size every minute. You got one athlete with an unchecked tongue or talks to a guy a certain way. Leave that thing alone for a while. Guess what? Tomorrow you're going to come in, you're going to have 5 of them. And then it just spreads and spreads and spreads. So you got to check that right there. Okay, and again, it's communication. It's just learning how to talk to people. We share this with the guys all the time. Psalms 118:24. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Bring everybody in before practice. Hey, guys, this is the day the Lord has made. We're going to rejoice and be glad at it. We might have 40 periods today, but, man, we're going to be happy that we're here. That's perspective. And then they're like, man, coach, we ain't going to be happy, So, just trying to, again, this is the other one right here. Commit to the Lord whatever you do and your plans will succeed. Proverbs 16:3. So when we lift, we bring the guys in together, bring them up, say, hey, guys, what's the word of the week? Kind of did on the video. And they'll say whatever it is. I'll give them a little bit about the word. I'll give them a proverb. I'll give them a psalm. Hey, man. And then what we'll do is we'll circle back on that at the end of the lift somewhere along the line, maybe later in the week, and we'll kind of talk about it. Again, talk to each other. Teach them how to talk to each other. How many times, when I played ball, when the senior talked, you listened. If the senior, if I didn't run through the line and the senior grabbed me and snatched me up, man, I was standing at full attention. It doesn't work that way anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore. They don't function like that anymore. So you got to teach these kids how to talk to each other. All right, you get the kid's not running through the line, and all of a sudden you get 4 dudes jump in his face. Hey, blah, 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 blah. You're not running through the line. The kid's not going to want to run through the line anymore. Fear doesn't drive these kids. They don't get driven by fear. Oh, I'm going to run through the line because I'm going to have 5 guys beat me up. No. They're competitive. He's going to stand up there and be like, you made me run through the line. And then it just becomes negative stuff. Teach them how to talk to each other. Okay? If we're going to coach squats, if we're going to coach bench, again, why wouldn't we teach them how to talk to each other? Why wouldn't we coach them how to be fathers? Why wouldn't we coach them to be good human beings? Okay? So we're going to teach them to work for each other out of love for their brother. I want to run through that line as hard as I can because I know the guy next to me is doing the same thing. Okay? We're going to make sure our music's edited in the weight room. We're just going to edit our delivery. And I think that's a huge thing with the guys. We play music every day, every single day in that weight room, every day on the football field. We probably play music more than anybody in the country. So we want to make sure that we edit that delivery too. And we understand each kid's different. Each kid's different. You got to talk to kids different ways. You got to talk to them different ways. There's one kid that I could get right up into his face and I could yell from the whole, in front of the whole team. Yes, coach, I got you. All right. Kid, military guy. Hey, you, tell his name, whatever. You don't do this. Coach, I got you. Yes, sir. Okay? And then there comes another guy, maybe from a single-parent household, doesn't have a dad, disrespects authority, maybe had some bad things happen in his life. If I yell at him across the way in front of 100 of his guys, it ain't going to go good. I got to go over to him. I got to wait till the water break maybe. I got to walk over to the water break, put my arm around him, and be like, hey, man, you know why I'm calling you back? I'm calling you back because you're not running through the line. And then coach them, teach them, be with them. Change the phrase, he can't help us, to what can I do to this kid to help him give him a better chance? I was guilty of that. I was that. I was a walk-on. I played 5 years, probably had no business playing college football. All right, thank God I played in an era where everybody ran straight because I like to run straight and hit people, and that was it. All right, if I had to do anything athletic, it was not my wheelhouse. There's so many coaches that said, hey, this kid can't help us. There's so many coaches that said this, they can't help us, okay? It just drives me crazy. You don't have the audacity to say a kid can't help you, okay? Find a way to help him. Find a way. And it might just be him being the best teammate. It might be him being the best guy because you'd be surprised if you spend time with him and you sit there and you find and say, hey, you know what? This guy's not a very good athlete, but, man, he's going to be the best teammate possible. He might end up being the best practice player we got, which will elevate your team, okay? And so find out what he's missing, and then how can you add to his experience? We don't let negative talk within our program. I don't let negative talk within our coaches. I don't let negative talk within anybody. So no negative talk in the program. Whoops. All right, hold on a second. All right, teach the athletes again how to have conversations. So going back to culture, okay, we're going to create experience. Okay, I'm going to hurry up because we're going to create experiences. We're going to do theme lifts, and one thing we got a lot of publicity for, we have great locker room celebrations, we do all this stuff and want the guys to have fun. I was telling the guys 2 weeks ago, or our last home game, We had Joey Chestnut come in, and he did a locker room celebration with the guys, and it was unbelievable. So we're gonna have theme lifts. We're gonna do music dance-offs. Again, that last line right there, 18 to 22-year-old kids. That's what we're doing. They're gonna come and have fun. They have fun. They're gonna work hard. Okay, this is a video real quick, and I'm gonna have to run through this real quick.
Like I said yesterday, and every day before that, there's not a single team in the country that has more fun than the Shans.
So, I mean, we're in Myrtle Beach, so the coaching staff, we all got airbrush T-shirts, you know. So, I mean, that's the way to go right there. But, yeah, so I'm going to run through the last little bit here. Again, within the culture, 3 things: equality, no titles, myself included. Okay, I'm the director of strength and conditioning. Okay, awesome. That's what it says on the page. That's not my title. Okay, I'm a coach, period. Okay, whether it's my assistants, whatever, I'm a coach. Contribution is knowing your role, and, again, empathy. Those 3 things, learning how to talk to people, they're huge. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of skip over a couple things. So final thoughts is life's about experiences, period. We got to learn from our losses, but life's about experiences. When a kid comes to Coastal Carolina University, he's going to be there for 5, 6, now sometimes 7 years, depending upon with all this COVID stuff. They're going to have an unbelievable experience. And they're going to have an experience they're going to talk about till the day they die. And this is one of my favorite songs of all time right here. This kind of goes back into what I tell our guys. You know, again, 42 years old, I'm a Garth Brooks fan. Song to dance. It says, now I'm glad I didn't know the way it would end, the way it all would go. And it says, our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I had to miss the dance. And I tell the guys, going back to perspective. And I shared this song with them, and because this song right here is about life. It's about experience. And then so we go through the whole thing last year. We had an unbelievable ride. We do all this stuff. We had college game day. We had an amazing game with BYU. We did all the stuff, won a championship the first time in school history, go to a bowl game, and we go to the bowl game, and we fought neck and neck with Liberty, and we get in overtime. We're 11-0 at that point, ranked whatever in the country. We're 11-0, and we get in overtime, and we get a field goal blocked, and we lose the game. And then we watch them. Our season ended on a loss last year, 11-0. We had a however many month long, ride of being on a high, and we ended it on a loss. And I told the guys, if you'd have known at the beginning of the season, if we'd have ended this season on a blocked field goal, and you'd have watched another team celebrate, and we'd have walked that lonely walk back to the locker room, would you have done it? And a lot of people probably would say, no, I won't do it, Coach, because I don't want to experience that. But what you miss out on is everything in the middle. You miss out on the college game days. You miss out on the ride. You miss out on the journey with your brothers, and that's huge. And so, again, going back to experiences, what we're doing right now, this is the dance. And I tell them, this is the dance. We're enjoying the dance, and so we talk about that. And then last thing, it's what we tell our guys. You got to love what you do, love where you do it, and love who you do it with. And this is applicable as a strength coach too. Love what you do, love where you do it, and love who you do it with. So I know I went long, but anybody got any questions or anything? All right, well, listen, it was a pleasure talking with all you guys. Again, my information's on our webpage, my phone number. I meant to leave it on there, but cscott5@coastal.edu, and my phone number is 843-902-9984. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you more, but I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, sir. Good job. We're going to take a little short break, and we'll be right back.
I get long-winded. I apologize.
Here's the difference
between those who push themselves to be better
and the rest. This is how I push myself to a higher standard. And it's not just right now.
I gotta push myself every day to be better than the day before. And at the end of each day,
that's why I'm strong. I have to push myself every day to be better.
This is my standard.
All right, welcome back. With our next speaker here will be Tracy Zimmer. She is the Strength and Conditioning Coordinator for Olympic Sports at the University of Florida. Tracy also is a graduate of Temple University, where she played women's lacrosse. And without further ado, Tracy, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to Hammer Strength for having me. I'm going to get going into this. So like Tommy said, I'm at the University of Florida. I work with men's and women's swimming and lacrosse. So just to give you an overview of what I'm going to discuss, first the history of Florida swimming. So I'm in my third year. Prior to this, I was with the Atlanta Falcons. Then I spent 9 years at the University of Pennsylvania. So I didn't have a lot of swim experience coming in. One of the things that's been awesome is I sort of inherited a program from Coach Matt Delancey, who's been at Florida for going on 18 years now. So when I talk about the history, he's a big part of their success. I'm going to talk about schedule, both competition and training, because one's going to inform the other. Some performance goals. In terms of our training plan, right? I handle the strength training and the dry land or conditioning. I'm going to go over some frequently asked questions. A lot of times when I'm doing recruiting talks, I will get like the same reoccurring questions, and so talk about some additional considerations and our team core values. So when I get to the questions, please feel free at any point to ask. throughout this talk. All right, so like I said, I inherited a pretty successful team, okay? 40 SEC team championships for the men, 2 national championships, 17 SEC championships for the women, and 3 national championships. So Coach Matt Delancey, who I've already mentioned, he was part of the 2010 national championship team. He also works with our track team, has 9 national championships, and our volleyball team. So I feel pretty fortunate to have learned under him. And I think in any transition where there's change, there's obviously going to be some reservations about what's going to happen with the program. I think the biggest thing is I try to keep it simple, right? I didn't come in looking to reinvent the wheel. I sort of took the program that he had and adapted it to where I thought I could make small improvements, but a lot of things have stayed consistent, right? Lifting is a skill, swimming is a skill, right? So I train the skill of lifting in order to help them become better swimmers, right? So it's an adjunct to their sport. We've had Gator swimmers compete in every Olympic game since 1968. I had 5 men compete in this past Olympic cycle, 2 representing the United States and 3 for other countries, so Jordan, Germany, and Venezuela. So again, like going back to the success of this team, it's a team effort, right? So it's our coaches, it's everybody else who's part of that support staff, and I'm just one small piece of this. All right, so competition and training schedules. Coach Scott just talked about how many games you play in a football season and what you're really preparing for. Anybody have an idea of what the college swim season runs to and from? All year. Yeah, it's pretty much all year. So it's considered a winter sport. Competition starts in October. NCAA's is in March, right? So we've got a long period of training to actually get the results that we want, okay? So here's our swim schedule for this year for the men. Really only have a few competitive opportunities. So we've got about 7 meets. You see the November 5th there is crossed out. We had a meet scheduled against Florida State. I think the flu was pretty rampant here at one point. So we had to get that meet scratched. But looking here, the Friday, the December 3rd Holiday Classic, right? That was just happened. That is not a meet that counts towards team points, right? So I've got 40 male swimmers, 32 female swimmers, in addition to 43 lacrosse athletes. So I've got 115 athletes. Not everyone gets to swim at races, right? So the SEC roster is limited. So if you don't qualify, if you don't meet our fastest times, if you can't swim multiple events, then you're not going to compete in meets that actually score points, right? So that's something that these kids know. I have to be at the top of my game if I even want to travel, right? So I think our mid-season meet when we were at Georgia Tech, only 51 athletes traveled, so I had about 19 athletes back home. All right, so this is the college swim season. And then we also have to work around US and international, right? So just about a week ago, we had the US Open in Greensboro. I had 20 athletes compete there. And then I've got athletes leaving this weekend to compete in the short course World Championships in Abu Dhabi. I also have open water athletes. So anybody know the distances for open water swims? Okay, so we got a 5K, a 10K, and a 25K. Right? So you could be in the water for 5 hours in 25K. It's the equivalent of, a marathon in the water. Yeah, it's impressive. All right, so here's our training schedule. It's going to look like a lot here. To give you an idea, the gray is practice times, okay? Sort of small, so you can't necessarily see in there. The practice times overlap. Men and women will swim at the same time at some point, okay? And it's not that we have 11 practices as outlined here, right? We might have 8 to 11 depending on where we are in the training cycles. The lift times that you'll see, orange represents the women's time. So the women lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 a.m. The men lift after practice. Okay, so usually they come in around 8:30. I do have some kids who have class, so they'll start right after the women and get their workout in and find other times to make up some swim practices. Anything you see that's sort of a blend of orange and blue, right, that's a combination of men and women coming in to either make up a lift or reschedule a dry land session. So I sort of have groups scattered, but we're always able to get all the training in that we need. All right, so performance goals. Who has, take a guess, what areas in the pool, right, really transfer over from what we do in the weight room? Any guesses? Think about a swim race. Blocks, yep. So the start, right, and turns, for sure. 2 areas where power and strength really aid in the development of their skill in the water. But like I said, lifting is a separate skill. So for me, a big thing is just getting them to be more coordinated, right? A lot of people will say swimmers are really good in the water and not so good on land. And we'll talk about that a little bit with dry land, but definitely just trying to make them more athletic with everything that we do. All right, so talk a little bit about warm-ups. All right, in the weight room, we don't really get our heart rate up prior to a lift. This is what we focus on, right? Because we want to lift with proper human alignment, okay? So I took, this is from the trigger point and stretch, is really from NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, right? Their corrective exercise curriculum. I will say that I don't lead this, right? So it's the expectation coming in that everyone's going to go through this as a team, right? So I give one person a stopwatch. They lead the 30-second trigger point, followed by a 20-second stretch of whatever muscle we're targeting. And the idea is that we're going to isolate any potentially overactive muscle, right? Follow it with a stretch to lengthen. Then we're going to do some sort of activation here. So on the right side in the middle, when you see prehab, right, we'll do some sort of activation, and then we'll integrate it into our movements for the day. This takes maybe like 15 minutes. If somebody needs something extra, right, we can address those things before they actually get to the movements. So we do this every Monday, Wednesday. On Fridays, right, they'll come in. We're also lifting. We'll follow something similar to this, but I let them sort of do what is going to be best for them on that day, right? It also allows me to see like who sort of needs what. So if I'm watching movements, I can see like if something's tight, right? If there's any sort of issue that we can address with either more trigger points or more specific, like hamstring stretching, some tibial rotation stuff for kids who maybe overpronate. But this really is sort of like sets up our assessments once we get into the lift. All right, dry land. So they come to me after practice. On the Tuesday workout, the men and women train together, right? So I've got 72 athletes, okay? The Thursday dry land, the men come in before practice and the women come in after practice, right? Tuesday, I'll get into this next, but generally, like, they're already warm when they're coming to me at this point, so I don't need to drag it out. We sort of just hop right in. We'll hit a few main stretches, and then I'll talk a little bit about the Thursday dynamic warm-up when we get to more specific dry land work. All right. So I'm with these guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday for lifts. Something that's really awesome is swimming is objective, right? You're either swimming fast or you're not. So the culture that we have in the weight room, everyone understands that I need to get stronger. This is going to help my sport, right? It's not always about going heavy, right? I say if strength were linear, I'd be squatting 1,000 pounds by now. Fortunately, I'm not there yet. But for me, it's really awesome to see everyone sort of take ownership of their lifts. So everyone has cards, right? Day 1 and day 2 on the front, flip it over, day 3 is on the back. But essentially, I write in the weights that they're going to hit, okay? And a lot of that comes with seeing these athletes move and seeing where we are on the training cycle, right? If we're high volume in the water, I might have to pull it back, okay? Sometimes I'll write on there, we're focusing exclusively on speed, right? So it might be, around 70% of what somebody's, perceived max is. And that's another thing, I don't max, right? So if you're in terms of strength training, power, right? If you're in a max, you gotta be 100% rested, going for 102%, all right? When they have that opportunity, that happens in the water, right? Because I need them to swim fast, and they want to swim fast, right? That is the goal, that's why we're here. So typical day 1 here, snatch transfer series. I know some coaches have already talked about complexes, which are a great lead-in to what we're gonna do. So every day 1 and day 2, we start with that, right? Just with an empty barbell, right? We don't load that. It's really, again, as I'm walking around, it allows me to assess whether people need something in their movements, right? I know Coach Feely talked about it yesterday, but you can definitely see some issues. If people are shifting, right? If their shoulder mobility is not where we want it to be, if we need to maybe hit some thoracic mobility to open up, right? To be able to maintain that overhead position, right? Great for stability and great for them to move, right? So the 3 movements that we combine, 3 overhead squats, 3 pressing snatch balances, 3 snatch balances, right? Just with an empty barbell. And we always do 1 round of that. Now I will say here we are, this is the current training cycle. We're in week 4, so we just finished on Friday this cycle. We have had a lot of competition throughout this cycle, right? Starting with our mid-season meet, US Open, we have the Gator Invite, the Holiday Classic. So a lot of things here, right, actually end up getting scratched. So if kids are competing, in a 4-day meet and they're gone Tuesday through Friday or Saturday, we might hit a few movements on day 1, right? So this is where it's great that I have the sheets because people who were competing, I could just write on, okay, maybe you're doing 3 sets of 2, okay, maybe you're doing, 2 rounds of the pull-ups. So everything's individualized from that standpoint. Whereas the kids who didn't get the opportunity to compete, right, they're doing, the full plan. I will write in, like I said, the weights for definitely cleans, definitely push press, squat, at least the first 3 sets. I think as kids get older, you want them to have the autonomy and the maturity to say, this is what I need, right? I'm not the one in the water. I think that's something that's definitely shifted for me working with this sport, is that the amount of time they spend in the pool, right? I can't be taking away from that and stealing from that just because I want them to go heavier, right? It's not about lifting heavier all the time, especially with this group, okay? So you'll see the trend here for weeks 1 and 2. The volume is 6 sets of 3. Weeks 3 and 4, right? 6 sets of 2. I stay pretty consistent with that throughout the year. We'll go 4 weeks training cycles followed by 1 week deload. During that deload, we'll transition either to new movements or we'll just cut the volume and do some of the similar movements that we've been doing. But essentially, like the non-negotiables on day 1, we're always going to do a clean variation, whether it's off blocks or from the hang. We're always going to do a squat variation, right, whether it's a front squat or back squat. Might have some other limitations to work around. I have a few kids who leg press, right? There's always something you can do to get better. And then we're always going to do a push press and some kind of pull-up. This plank series at the bottom, right? A lot of times I'll change up whatever trunk series we're doing, or I'll give them the option to choose what they feel is best for them. All right, typical day 2, again, starting with that snatch transfer series. Transition from that into med ball, broad jump, and throw, right? So we got to this point because of what we had done leading up to the broad jump and throw, right? So able to redirect force in different directions. We started off, first cycle, we're now in our 3rd full 4-week cycle here. Started off with just a metal ball throw for height, okay? Then a vertical jump to throw, and now a broad jump to throw, right? So there's sort of a progression to where we got here. You'll see hang snatch, right? Just like our clean, similar volume across the 4-week block. Trap bar deadlift, right? So again, looking back to where we were, to how we got here, we've already deadlifted off blocks, right? I think for me, it was advantageous to have the guys pull from a little bit higher starting position, considering how long they are. I've got a 7-foot-tall freshman. I got a lot of guys over 6'5". They are long bodies, and we need to, preserve what we can. So in order to take some of the low back stress off, but still have that leg drive to where it's going to transfer over to our power clean and our hang snatch, right? Sort of elevating the bar helps with that. So with the trap bar, right, you'll see the volume's a little bit different. 4 sets of 4, weeks 1 and 2, 6 sets of 2, weeks 3 and 4. And like I said, with our mid-season meet and other competitions, some athletes didn't even get to these days. We also had Thanksgiving in there, right? So Wednesday through Friday, they were on their own. And if they had access to this, great. If they didn't, I gave some other alternatives, but I wasn't tracking it during that time. Okay? We'll always do some kind of bilateral movement, also some unilateral movements. Walking lunge with a plate overhead, great for swimming, right? Shoulder stability, trunk stability, having to, coordinate a little bit with the movement there. This might be a little controversial for swim, okay? Barbell floor bench, right? Again, to sort of give you an idea of what we did before this, we did bench, okay? Flat bench, we've done incline bench, we've done different bench variations. Considering where we are in the training cycles, wanted to shorten the range of motion, have these guys focus on having a little bit more control, really having them think like, okay, tricep strength in the lockout. And then dumbbell floor rows. So if you see any A, B, or sometimes a C movement, the athletes know that we're going to superset those 2 movements. So they'll go back and forth between the floor row and the floor bench, right, until they get through those sets. So a lot of times people want to know, like, we always have to finish with some kind of like core training, which I'll talk about. But a lot of times, like, your abs function isometrically, right? They function to keep you erect. So I haven't met somebody who necessarily has a weak core, because a lot of times people are referring to your abdominal muscles, but I call it trunk, right? And really that's everything between your ball and socket joints, including your ball and socket joints, right? So hips, shoulders, your erectors, low back, upper back, right? So we're trying to stabilize the whole midsection when I'm talking about trunk, right? Which a lot of people also refer to as core, okay? I will always write in competitions. So December 1st was the start of the US Open. So I'll highlight on there who's going to that. That way I know if we need to dial it back in the days leading up to that. And then also as they look through their training history, we can sort of see where they competed, what they did leading into that competition. So from year to year, if they had success doing something, we want to be able to maintain and replicate that success so we continue to make improvements in swim times. All right, so day 3 here. This is a little bit more of our athletic day. Try to have some fun with this for sure. So like I said, day 1 and day 2, we'll always stick with our trigger point and stretch led by somebody on the team. Okay, this day they come in, I start a timer, right, rolling clock, and they just sort of go through what they feel that they need. A lot of them, honestly, it's pretty cool because they'll just go through the same routine that we go through Monday, Wednesday. Some of them who aren't necessarily sure what to do, I'll have it up on a slide later, but we do a mobility flow as part of recovery in some of our dryland workouts if we're not, if we have to cut down for a meet. But some of them will incorporate those movements. Some of them will grab a resistance band and do different stretches, right? I'm okay as long as they're using the time to their advantage. We got to this point with the men because they earned it, right? Last year, I didn't trust them to sort of do this on their own because guys were sort of like fooling around, laying on the turf. And, so this for me is big this year that they actually earned it. And now everyone is actually using the time to get a little bit better. So I have got 40 swimmers. We've got 10 racks for the men. So to be able to get everybody through, right, we make it work. But I like to start with some hurdle mobility. We do this at the racks, right? Imagine trying to get 40 guys through like a set of 6 or 8 hurdles, right? It would take way too long. We don't have that kind of time. Big on efficiency. So they set the safety rails up at about hip height. The bar will be in the rack, and they'll step over, right? And then they'll squat under, right? Reps per side to get going for a little bit of mobility. Then we go into some of our plyometrics, okay? So somebody talked about Vertimax squat jumps yesterday. Swimmers love these. So we do this every Friday. We try to be as consistent as possible with what we're doing. So Fridays we'll Vertimax, okay? The reps on week 1 and 2 are the same, just like week 3 and 4 are the same. So we transition from 4 sets of 3 to 6 sets of 2, right? The volume is the same, okay? But if you're taking away reps, they should be able to produce more power in those later weeks, okay? Depth drop to streamline, right? Anybody know what streamline is in swimming? When they enter the water, coming off walls and turns, right? I can't do it because my shoulder mobility is not great, but getting your fingertip to fingertip, right? Being able to keep your arms locked out. So we try to incorporate some of this so that way they have the same skill that they're developing in the water, right? I also, to clarify, for some of my athletes, just because I abbreviate, some athletes thought it was death drop, right? So it's depth drop. Got to be clear with.
Are they in streamline when they step down, or are they?
No, arms go down, arms come up. Okay. Yeah, good question. And then the same thing with the flying step-ups, right? So we'll use a 12-inch step-up box. The biggest thing on any of this stuff is safety, right? So if athletes are stepping off of a box, we'll go anywhere depending on our boxes set up on platforms. They're about 18 inches, 18 to 20, or we'll jump off of a 24-inch box. So the 24-inch boxes we have like turned sideways. So an athlete has to stabilize the box so it doesn't tip on the athlete. Same thing with our streamlined flying step-ups. So we'll use 12-inch step-up box, but they're pushed against a wall so they can't move as the athlete is making impact on that box, right? And the biggest thing there is the ankle stability, right? We're not trying to do a calf raise here. We want a stiff ankle so that way we can put a lot of force into the ground to get as high as we can, all right? So we'll go through that sort of series, right? From Vertimax to depth drop to streamlined flying step-up. And really the coordination involved gets a little bit greater throughout the movements. All right, it's always fun. We do some 20-yard turf sprints. Sometimes we'll go from standing start. Sometimes we'll go from a track start. But I do that on the whistle. We've got 50-yard turf in the weight room. So we'll have 2 or 3 athletes line up on the whistle. They sprint. They definitely get competitive with that. And then we'll go through a circuit. So usually it's more of like an upper body circuit. This cycle, it was dumbbell incline, reverse grip, inverted rows, lateral raises, right, out to 30 degrees, and band pull-aparts. So this sort of covers everything that we might have not gotten earlier in the week. And then, like I said, trunk, your choice. I already gave my thoughts on trunk, but this is what I give them, right? So these are some of the options. I'll pass this around for trunk and or grip work. So you see up there also post lift. We have grip work. So swimming, right, to be able to maintain your form in the water, a lot of our coaches have said, like, to help with the catch, right, at the end of your strokes, be able to pull more water. Having that forearm strength so you can sort of maintain that is what helps. So it's interesting for me to see what athletes choose. A lot of times people will all just gravitate towards the same thing. If one person sort of veers out on their own, it's always useful to go talk to that athlete and say like, hey, why do you think this helps you? So like I said, I'm not in the water, but if they think that this is going to help, right, that's going to go a lot further than me just telling them, hey, you need to do this, right? It also helps inform my decisions later on. If certain athletes, our top level athletes are always choosing maybe the harder thing or maybe the thing that they're weakest at to improve on it, right? It's really interesting to see like who's selecting what when they're given the autonomy. Again, here we had week 1, Georgia Tech, right? So Friday, majority of the team was out. Week 2 was Thanksgiving, majority of the team was out. Week 3 was our holiday classic, so the 20 or so athletes who didn't get to compete in our midseason meet, they were out. And then yesterday was our first lift, Friday lift that everyone was actually able to attend. All right, dry land. This for me is funny. So I changed the nomenclature with trunk from core to trunk, and now all my athletes say that, which I love. Dry land, I asked the coaches, I was like, why do we call it dry land? You don't call the pool wetland. But I don't think I'm having any luck changing this one. So we'll just stick with dry land. But essentially, it's conditioning, right? So the goal for me really is to increase that lactate threshold, right? It's short, it's intense, right? I don't need to be in there tiring them out, right? Again, we're gonna focus on a few skills, again, make them more athletic and do things that will actually help them, right, in the long run. So our Tuesday, like I said, it's men and women's team combined. We will do some sort of sprints, bike sprints, medicine ball work, plyometrics, trunk work, boxing, Gator Mountains, or mobility flow. So right now with December training, because we don't have any meets coming up until January, I add Gator Mountains back in. So what that is, our football stadium, the Swamp, it seats 90,000. So running or walking on the bleachers, every bleacher to the top, right? So it's about 90 steps to the top. Walk back down, repeat that, right? So one thing for this team and swimmers in general, right? Towards the top of the stadium for sure, it gets a lot longer, but it reinforces that knee drive for proper running mechanics. So for me, I like that because we start with it, then we'll transition to some ramp sprints inside the concourse, then we'll do some other kind of sled work, and then when we come back to this, it's really awesome to see because it's super challenging to do the Gator Mountains, and I time them, so there is a little bit of competition involved. But to see them coming in the fall and sort of some of them get wrecked by Gator Mountains, and then now here we are, we've had three full months, and now it's relatively easy for some of them. And I will say these kids have like a different kind of engine. I time them, the women finish in about 8.5 minutes to do 6. So that's 90 steps to the top, got to come back down. So, they're doing about under 1.5 minutes for each rep. Same with our men. Some of the men finish in incredibly fast times. I already mentioned the mobility flow. You'll see that up here in a minute. And then Thursday, we do a 4-station circuit. So here is the circuit. I'm going to give away the secrets here. This I took from Coach Matt Delancey. We stay consistent with this year round. I did mix it up because last year with COVID, we didn't have access to all of the equipment that we needed because we sort of created remote training locations. So we did other things, trap bar farmers walks, some crawling patterns. But now we're back on track with this. And I asked for feedback at the end of the last year, and a lot of athletes said that this was something that they felt helped them to be able to maintain this and improve on, right, either the reps that we were doing throughout the year. But essentially, this takes about 24 minutes, right? So the bike sprints, we go through that round twice, okay? For a deload week, we'll only go through it once. So it's either 6 minutes, right, consistently weeks 1 through 4, or 3 minutes during our deload week, right? So I think everyone next week is looking forward to deload, right? Because now swim volume will ramp up with our December training. We got a lot of 2-a-days coming up for these guys. The plank series, that I will change each time, right? So one of the different trunk variations that you've seen on that sheet, I don't give them a choice on this day, right? We all do it as a team. The prowler pushes, right? So we'll go 20 yards, and for the women, it's 50 pounds loaded on, and for the men, it's 90 pounds loaded on, right? So I don't want it to be so challenging to where they can't move it, right? Obviously, this favors stronger athletes. So a lot of kids who, freshmen especially coming in, if they're struggling with this, a lot of times I'm like, yeah, you just got to get stronger. It is cool to see, like some of the women, I told them I would cut the reps if they wanted to do the same weight as the men, and they did it, and some of them crushed it, which is so much fun to see. And then we'll do this rope series. So everyone sort of counts through the reps. We've got 3 ropes set up, so that way the rest is built in with 3 or 4 athletes in line. You just get back up to the top and you roll right through that. We'll all rotate at the same time, and 24 minutes in and out. We do start with a dynamic warm-up on the turf, again, to try to improve some of that athleticism. So we'll do some like karaoke's, lateral shuffling, and then we do some forward rolls, again, competitive sprinting. So I'll have them start prone, right, face down, one arm extended on the whistle. We'll log roll, right, so they got roll left or right, and then they get up and sprint. It's a lot of fun to see people 7 feet tall trying to get up and run. And then we'll always finish with a forward roll, right, tuck your chin, roll, get up and sprint. They'll line up, they'll count off, and then we'll break into these stations. Something that I had on the previous slide, right, for, see if I can go back here, these boxing gloves. So I had these custom made when I got here. Pretty awesome that Florida was going to invest in this. But my previous supervisor when I was at the University of Pennsylvania for 9 years, Jim Steele, had worked with some special forces guys. He was a big football fan, big Randy White fan, and saw Randy White back in, I don't know, 80s, like hitting pads, and decided he wanted to learn that. So he learned how to box and brought the system to Penn. And so it's Boss Rutten, B-A-S-R-U-T-T-E-N, if anybody's interested in checking it out. But it's essentially a name and number system. So I teach athletes the names of the punches, the numbers of the punches, then they can be called out interchangeably. So we'll do 2-minute rounds, that's the minimum. We generally start with like 2 2-minute rounds, and then we'll work up. So it's shadow boxing for everybody. And then certain people who I see are like really committed to getting better at it, or the people who maybe have the form down a little bit, I will pull out mitts and I will hold for them, right? So it's called feeding the punches. That person's most important because if you're not doing it correctly, right, it could cause somebody to like overextend, right? And just from a shoulder health standpoint, this has been great for them. From a conditioning standpoint, helps with rotation, helps with footwork. It's also a lot of fun. So everyone likes to think they're a fighter. They got to remember they also have to have some defense. All right, so here's our mobility flow, right? Just like our warm-up for lifts, I don't lead this, right? Every athlete has this exact card. It's laminated. It's in their swim bags. So if they're on the road and they forget what something is, they can quickly reference back to it. A majority of them, as we're going, whoever's in charge of leading it for the day, if they're calling out something, athletes will try to guess what's next, or I'll see somebody doing the next movement. So again, just being really consistent with what we do, the expectation is clear, right? And that helps with the overall team camaraderie in the weight room. I will say, some of these movements, right, athletes try to tell me like, oh, this hurts or this bothers me. And really interesting because body weight movements, right, should be relatively easy. But some of these things aren't initially. So I think seeing kids improve, and then you can also build upon these movements. And if an athlete comes to me and they're like, hey, this has really helped, do you have something like it? That also helps me think, okay, well, maybe he's not the only one who needs this other kind of movement. All right, these are the questions that I frequently get. If you guys have questions, please ask. But do sprinters and distance swimmers train differently? What do you think so far? Any guesses? Yes or no? You got a 50-50 chance. Yes. Who said no? Yeah, say loud, say with some confidence. Yeah, you're right, no. The plan that I sent, right, or have showed you, right, those 3 days a week, it's the same for everybody, right? Now, relative strength, our sprinters are a lot stronger than our distance guys, right? So we just finished week 4. Earlier in this week, we did hang cleans or hang snatch on day 2. I had one of my sprinters snatch 176 pounds, right, 80 kilos, whereas my sprinters, they're not touching that, right? But for them, right, everyone's improving, right, relative to what they're capable of with good form. That's the caveat, right? We're never going to add weight just to say we are going heavier. Can't compromise the speed on that. But our sprinters train the same volume, right? The intensity is going to look different, right, based on the individual. What do you do for shoulder health? So if I went back to that slide that I showed the trigger point and stretch, right, there were some prehab movements on there. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll hit some scapular push-ups. We'll do some side-lying external rotation. And then we'll do eyes-wise T's and A's. And we do the eyes-wise T's and A's with weight. So like 2 to 2.5 pounds. They just hold the weights in their hands, arms are extended, and we sort of go through that series. So the expectation is we're always doing that, right? It's not sexy, might not be the most thrilling thing, but we've definitely had very few shoulder injuries since I've been here. And actually, just prior to me being here, this team's stayed healthy in terms of shoulder health. I think the biggest thing would be any kind of overuse injuries, right? Which we're able to minimize with everything that we do, both what the coaches are doing at swim practice and with what I'm doing in the weight room. How do you handle swimmers who gain too much muscle, right? So you have to think, if they're with me, maybe I'm lucky enough to get 4 hours a week, and the other 16 hours they're in the pool, so I get maybe 20% of that time, right? So really have to try to maximize what we're doing. It's really rare that I have a swimmer who just blows up, right, and gains too much muscle, right? Because the amount of time that they spend in the pool is actually catabolic, right? They're breaking down. Like, these kids are eating in the middle of swim practice snacks to try to stay fueled for what they're doing. The intensity is really high, right, depending on where they are in the different swim cycles. But I think the coaches have a good understanding of, like, yeah, we're going to push, and you need to push, and then the communication between me and the coaching staff is really great. I try to get to at least one practice a week around my other responsibilities, but I can honestly say I don't have swimmers who are walking around like the Incredible Hulk. They're definitely lean, so the biggest thing I would say with those athletes is making sure they're staying hydrated. All right, what does taper look like? Anybody have a guess, like what taper is like for swimming? Maybe anybody who works with track, something similar? No guesses. All right, well, I'm gonna tell you. So for the men and the women, it's gonna look different, okay? Men are able to hold more muscle, okay? So for our distance swimmers, we cut weights 3 weeks out, right? That doesn't mean I don't see them for 3 weeks. That means they still come in, we still hit the trigger point and stretch, we're still trying to work on soft tissue, right? And then we'll have some other maybe grip or trunk work. Again, that's going to be their choice at that point in time, right? Because the mental piece for this is huge. And going back to the way that the swim, like a 4-day swim meet ends up, I probably have 1 or 2 swimmers who compete in at least 10 races, right? So I can't be stealing reps from them, okay, stealing time from them to get faster if I'm doing too much during that time. And some athletes will say, hey, I need more. Some athletes will say, hey, I need less. But it really becomes individualized, and I'll write on the sheet, like when their last lift is, what that volume looked like. Maybe, they're still going to lift up until 4 days out. But that sort of depends on the guys. And it depends on where we are, whether it's SECs, right, or NC2As. Because really, February is our SEC meet. Our men are actually going for their 10th this year, 10th in a row championship. But for them, right, 3 weeks out for the distance swimmers is going to really allow their legs and body to recover so they can, maintain and sustain in the water. The sprinters will taper 10 days out, right? So they'll cut weights again. They're still coming in, still doing all the mobility, the trigger point and stretch to help with soft tissue. Again, just being consistent with that stuff is really going to move the needle in the long run. For the women, it's a little bit different, right? Not the same amount of muscle, right? Takes a little bit longer to gain that muscle. We want to be able to preserve it. All right, so the women, it's anywhere from 10, 7, or 4 days, and that's individualized. So freshmen, because their training age is a lot younger, all of them are pretty much on until 4 days out, right? They'll cut weights at 4 days. Some of our distance swimmers, for sure, they want to cut 10 days out. If you're swimming the mile, it definitely takes a toll. You're in the water for 15 minutes trying to pull your body through that water. We want their legs to be recovered, right? And then so the 7-day option is really for those who might sort of be in that middle area. Maybe they're an IMer. Maybe they swim, a few of the sprint races as well. But I like to leave that to the athletes, right? Once they're seniors, juniors, because really it's going to look different. Like with COVID, we had a longer volume, a longer period of training. Whereas this year, with more meets, as you saw, we got US Open, we got, guys going to Abu Dhabi. So the training isn't as consistent, right? So we might need to lift a little bit longer if you didn't have as many training opportunities leading up to whatever meet we're going to end up in. And then finally, what other resources are available for swimmers, Gator student athletes? Honestly, I can say these kids are spoiled. They don't know because it's all they understand now. But we've got a state-of-the-art weight room, 26,000 square feet. Like I said, I've got 10 racks for swim to get in for their lift. But the training environment's really cool because football right now still shares the same weight room. So we've got football groups in, and we'll have either baseball or softball in at the same time. So we've got like 80 athletes at least, all in the same space. It's loud. I try not to lose my voice by the end of the week, but it's a lot of fun. In terms of people, right? My success is also a reflection of these people, okay? Our coaching staff. Anthony Nesty is the head coach. When I first got to Florida, it was a split program, meaning there was a head men's coach, head women's coach. Anthony Nesty was the head men's coach, right? Last year there was a transition, somebody left, and now Anthony Nesty, we merged it back. He's head coach of the dual swim program. So oversees both men and women. Anthony Nessie swam for the Gators, so he is Gator through and through. He was the first African American to win an Olympic gold medal back in 1988. So he understands competing at a high level, and he's trying to get the talent that can allow the Gators to continue to compete for conference and national championships on both the men's and the women's side. He also has 4 assistants, so 2 associate head coaches and then 2 other assistant coaches. Everyone's great. The communication is awesome, and I think we really all are able to like work together to sort of achieve the outcomes that we want. Athletic training, we've got 2 full-time athletic trainers. The benefit for me is that they're at every single lift, every single dry land or conditioning session, right? So there's no guesses if an athlete comes to me and they're like, oh, this hurts, you know? I'm like, okay, well, what did John say? What did Christina say? And I think the continuity of care there really allows us to keep athletes training, right? So athlete availability, if you're out of the pool for a week, it's about a month of missed training, really, because of the volume that these guys are putting in. So the biggest thing is to keep these guys doing what they can, right? So if they can't pull through the water, they're going to get really good at kicking, right? If they can't do something overhead with me, then maybe they're going to do single arm movement, right? And I always get the question, am I going to walk around with like one bigger side? Like, I've trained athletes like that for a long time. You get the neuromuscular adaptations on both sides, right? You're not going to walk around like the Incredible Hulk on one side and, you know, skinny on the other side. But when you do return to full training, you're going to get stronger faster than if you had sort of taken off completely. So for me, it's always, what can we do to get better? Nutrition, we have a team dietitian. Nutrition is huge for swimming, right? Like I mentioned, they're fueling during practice, but the education piece is huge, especially for the freshmen coming in, because they're probably not prepared for the volume that they're about to encounter, right? They learn very fast because you can't hide, right? The times don't lie. That's what I love about the sport. It's objective. You're either swimming fast or you're not. And if you're not, like how can we move that needle? So we have great resources. So for the men, she'll do skimfold. For the women, we had done skimfold. We also have access to DEXA, right, which is the gold standard. So our women this year have used the DEXA, which prints out your body composition, you know, lean mass, fat-free mass, bone density. So we can see any sort of asymmetries that maybe we need to address. But for the most part, what I like about it is the athletes see this information and then they can better understand like what they need, right? Whether it's to gain muscle, to lose body fat. But at the end of the day, every sport for the most part is going to favor having high relative strength, right? So if these athletes can't pull their weight through the water, right, then how can we improve that body composition to get them where they're going to be swimming fastest and feeling good in the water? All right. Performance psychology, I've got, we have a team psychologist who works with the men, and that was because of Anthony Nessie last year, the head coach of the men, wanting to keep consistent with that. He's also now working with the women, and then every athlete has the ability to reach out to somebody individually for counseling. And I think for a sport like this where, you know, it's a lot of pressure. You're getting up on the starting blocks and yeah, you're scoring points for the team, but at the end of the day, it's you in that lane, right? So the individual aspect of it and also the team psychology behind it, I think it's huge to have that sort of performance psychology piece to where our athletes know, like, we care, we want to help you with this if you need help with it. So together we're handling these three this diagram here, movement strategies, right? We're taking care of that in the weight room and the coaches are taking care of it in the water. A lot of times just having those conversations and building relationships, as you know, coaches have said, is going to go a long way, right? So if you're communicating with your athletes, oh, how'd you sleep? Are you fueling properly? If athletes come to me after an afternoon swim practice and then they're expected to do an intense dry land session and they're gassed because they didn't eat lunch, right? And they haven't had snacks since they came from the pool, like I'm gonna wait 10 minutes until somebody grabs a snack, right? And then everybody else who doesn't want to wait, now they're going to be on top of each other to make sure everyone's staying fueled, right? So building that in so that way the team is actually helping each other out with that takes some off my plate, so that way I can actually focus on the actual coaching. And nutrition and hydration is huge. So these are the core values for the swim program: honesty, discipline, goal-oriented, respect, and resilience. It makes my job really easy because I am able to reinforce these values in the weight room. So if a kid comes in, fortunately I've got honest kids for the most part. I've got some kids who try to tell me they lifted more weight and they're really just trying to joke with the athletic trainer. I'm like, look, it's okay if you're not as strong as the athletic trainer yet, but you can get there. So it's fun to sort of banter back and forth. But honesty is huge, right? Discipline for me, right? That's one that I'm constantly reinforcing in the weight room, and I think the coaches definitely appreciate that. But we all have goals. What are we working towards? How can we get there? And those conversations are always fun to have with the athletes, right? Because they're trying to swim a fast time, and they think that the strength of gains that they can make are really going to transfer over from that. So I've got kids who are like, yeah, I want to clean 225. I'm like, great. Like, you're at 200 now. Like, let's set the goal a little bit further out. But when I understand what these athletes want to do, I can have that conversation with them like, okay, well, I'm going to help you get there. Respect and resilience. I mean, respect goes without saying. And I say this to everybody. You know, we do the snatch transfer series as sort of like a movement assessment just with the bar. You have to respect that weight even though the bar's unloaded, right? You have to respect the weight if we're going through a movement with a dowel rod, so for the freshmen when I'm teaching them. But whatever we're doing, you have to respect all weights there. And then the resilience piece, right? You might not have a good practice. You might not have a good lift. You might not have the best race. But are we getting better? Do you know what you need to fix? Do you know what you need to work on? Is it you didn't sleep enough? You're underfueled, right? You're trying to go too heavy and your form's compromised, right? Those are the things that we need to be able to have conversations with our athletes, so we're setting them up for success in the water. One last thing, I'm gonna have, anybody wanna volunteer? I need 2 volunteers. Yes, love it, come on up. All right, so taper time, right? I already mentioned the athletes will still come in for some kind of trigger point and stretch. Another thing that I do that's pretty fun, at the start of a swim race, right? The officials say, take your mark, right? And then the sound goes off for the start. So we do this sort of for a reaction time thing. So everyone will partner up. You're gonna hold this, right? Unless you wanna go first. You can each take a turn. You're gonna hold it over parallel to the ground, and you're gonna stand in front of him. Actually, let's turn this way so everyone can sort of see. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you're gonna keep your arms out, right? And you're gonna release the PVC pipe, and you're gonna try and grab it before it hits the ground, right, for reaction time. So it's just on you. All right, let's see. Oh, yep. So this becomes fun. It's a little bit of competition. Who can get the most? Yeah, now take turns. So try to keep your arms parallel to the ground. Yep, release. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we'll go from that position. Then we'll go from hands next to your side, right? Try to grab it. Oh, yeah, you got to overhand with the grab. All right, now you're up. Just got the knee bend there. All right. And then the last one, hands behind your back. All right, let's see. Oh, almost. All right, man. All right. Let's go 3 for 3. Yeah. All right. Very good. All right, you guys can sit down. Thank you for volunteering. So that's something fun that we'll do. They'll come in, they'll hit their trigger point and stretch, maybe some grip or trunk work, and then we'll do that. Gets to be a little bit competitive, so it's fun to see. All right, that being said, I'm all done. So if you guys have any questions, love to take questions. If not, thank you. Thank you to Hammer Strength. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Tracy. Great job. We're all going to take a 5-10 minute break here to stretch our legs and use the restroom. So we'll be right back.
So I was a graduate of Pike High School in 1997. In 1995, I believe, this space was open, and we had new weight room equipment, and then I come back as a coach in 2019, and we had the same equipment. So equipment was over 20 years old, and definitely needed to upgrade that a little bit. And obviously, working at Hammer Strength has been excellent, and it's just been a great experience with everything. Well, I think our athletes benefit so much from this, just because in the previous weight room it was specific. This is only a bench. This is only an incline. The thing I love about this equipment is its versatility. We can do Olympic lifting. We can do anything in the racks. It's got so much variety of the ways we can use the space, and I think that's basically our creativity and how we want to use it is limitless. Success on a football field in athletics is a direct correlation to what's done in here. I think every program I've been to, as our strength and athleticism got better as of what we did in the weight room, our results on the field got better. So the easiest way to get a program moving in the right direction is to improve it here. Really you got to focus on how you get there. Sometimes the results are out of your control, and so we just want to make sure that our kids and our athletes and our coaches are doing things the right way, that we're helping to prepare these young men for being husbands, fathers, employees, And that's our ultimate goal. And so really, I don't think you can measure the success of a program until you've had a few kids go through and they've been successful when they've left here.
We're going to get this show on the road here. We'll continue with our next speaker. Coach Jeff Dillman comes to us today from IMG Academy. Jeff is a graduate of, started football at Elon College, if I'm not mistaken.
Started at Elon, yep.
And you finished at, graduated from Appalachian State.
Yeah, App State,
where you went on to be the strength coach there. And actually, Jeff was the strength coach, if you all remember, Appalachian State in 2007.
Yeah.
Went up to the big house, they called it, and played Michigan.
Yep.
And blew their ass off the field. Excuse me. But Jeff has also been the strength coach at the University of South Carolina, University of Alabama, University of Florida, Louisiana State, and the University of Louisiana at Monroe.
Yeah.
And Jeff has also been associated with 5 national championships, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess that's.
Yes, sir.
I don't keep up with it. It doesn't mean anything.
And Jeff is a very good friend of mine. And without further ado, Jeff Dillman.
Awesome.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. First of all, the whole Hammer Strength family, appreciate all you guys, what all of you stand for and what you mean and what you've done for me. I've been let go on jobs 2 times, and You've always been there. Even when I didn't have a job or when I first started in the business, you've always been there. So that's what this is all about. It really is. It's about family. It's about relationships, and I appreciate that. All right, hey, let's start getting energy going a little bit. You know, you already know, everybody knows about give me 2 claps. So give me 2 claps. All right, then we're going to add give me 2 claps. So usually it's give me 2 claps and a rig, and woo, you know, but we're not going to do that. We're going to change it up on you. You're going to use this one. You're going to like this one, Chad. So it's going to get give me 2 claps and a boom. So the boom is going to go boom. So we'll go give me 2 claps and a boom. Boom. No. So that's soft. That's weak. We got to bring it now. Hey, you got to be strong. Boom. Everybody's got to hear it. And everybody out there, you got to do the same thing at home. I want you to wake up. Whoever's in the other room, wake them up right now. Here we go. 2 claps and a boom. Boom. How's that feel? That feels awesome. So, yep. So, hey, just thinking, what do I need to talk about? And something resonated with me is, and I've been doing it a lot more now, is do simple better. Simple is actually harder. It's a lot harder. It's harder to teach. Why is simple harder to teach? Because you got no excuse. What athlete doesn't get it? He doesn't get it. Well, he doesn't get it because it's your fault. We're not coaches, we're teachers. I don't like to call myself a coach anymore. I like to call myself a teacher. Because too many people call themselves coaches out there and they don't teach. It's all about teaching, right? You agree? We can teach anything. If you're a great teacher in anything, you can teach anything. Give me math. And we're going to go into math. You're going to come in my classroom in math. We're going to have fun. Everybody's going to be lit. We're going to be turned up, having a good time. And you know what? I'm going to teach what they need to learn because you make it fun. You're engaging. Like Chad talked about, everything's relationship-based. Everything you do is relationship-based. So simple better is harder, but it's easy to understand, okay? Also, there's no excuses. I talked about that. And the why behind the basics. It works, guys. It works. Simple works. And every athlete you come in contact with, every person you come in contact with, you know what? If you keep it simple with them, they walk out of there, they can be the teacher too. We got 166 athletes that we train with football, and I want 166 teachers and coaches. I want them to understand how to do a hip hinge. I want them to understand how to lunge properly. I want to understand if they feel pain in their knees when they're squatting, reach their hips back. It's simple. How simple is that? If you feel pain in your knee, reach your hips back. Do you feel it in your back when you squat? Yes, you're doing it wrong. That's simple. All right, but we always want to give them what they should feel and tell them what they should feel. Hey, do me a plank. Feel it in your core? Yeah. They're going to say yes. They're going to say yes because they don't want you to ask questions. So you say, hey, do you feel that plank in your back? Yes. You're doing it wrong. I use reverse teaching. I teach opposite. I don't tell them directly what they should feel. I tell them what they shouldn't feel, and then we go back and we teach them what they should feel. All right, based on how they feel the muscles, also in their head, the groove they're in. Because everybody's different, right? You agree? Everybody's different. Everybody's going to squat different. Everybody's going to lunge different. Everybody's going to clean different. There's 1,000 ways to do all that stuff, and we'll get into that. So let's go programming. We're going to hit the whole holistic approach to training. We're going to hit everything. We're going to hit everything today. If you got questions, stop, ask questions. Let me say this. I am the dumbest guy in the room. Okay? I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned from them. I ask a lot of questions. I'm the dumbest guy in the room. So don't come in here saying, well, I don't want to ask that question because I don't want to think I'm dumb. No, the dumb question is the one you don't ask. That's the dumb question. So I never call anybody dumb if they ask a question. I say, that's pretty smart. Even though it's the basic question that he's asking, but that's pretty smart. So eliminate that. So every recruit I talk to, every strength coach I talk to, y'all are all smarter than me. Everybody out there right now, you're all smarter than me. But I've made a lot of mistakes. I learned from them. And I ask a lot of questions. Okay? When you talk about programming, let's talk about programming real quick. This is simple. Programming is simple. Okay? Old Milo story. Everybody knows the old Milo story. How do we get stronger? Well, first of all, you pick up things, you put them down. Okay? You do certain movements. And after a time, your body adapts, correct? Does your body adapt? Yeah, it adapts. So what do you got to do? You either got to change the movements, you got to change the volume, you got to change the intensity. Okay? I always have this conversation with parents all the time. What age should you start lifting weights? All right? And we got to eliminate the stigma out there in the world. Parents say, well, 13, 15 years old. Okay. You're wrong. And I'm pretty straightforward and transparent and blunt about everything. You're completely wrong. If I take your son who's 5 years old and he jumps off a brick wall this high and lands. And then I take your son, I put a 2-pound bar on his back, and I teach him how to squat. Which one's safer? Teach him how to squat. Well, he's 5 years old, he's lifting weights. You know, chaos versus structure chaos. I got control of it. I control the intensity. I control what I'm doing with them, and I'm teaching them. So don't ever look at lifting weights as maxing out. The stigma is lifting weights, we say lifting weights, they think squat 500 pounds, squat 600 pounds. Completely wrong. Lifting weights is movements. Lifting weights is movements with resistance. Got my son, 5 years old. He's using a PVC pipe. Does squats correctly. I go in, I put a pound bar on his back. Does squats correctly. 2 pounds, 3 pounds. We get up to 10 pounds. All of a sudden his technique breaks down a little bit. What do? What would you normally do? Light him up, right? No, I'm not going to lighten him up. I'm going to stay right there. Keep doing it. Body's going to adapt. Once he adapts, you keep increasing the weight. It's simple. It's not that hard. We didn't make big jumps. We don't make big jumps, okay? So programming, what's the why? What is your reason for your program? Are you in the off season? Are you in the in season? This is an example of the first week of training when we talk about GPP the other day with Coach Feely was talking about. This is a lot of volume. So in our off season, we use the system. Rob Panarello, Coach Feely talked about it, Johnny Parker, Al Miller. We count volume. We count the volume of our core lifts. In the off season, we'll get up as high as 850 total reps in a month or 900 on just our core lifts. In season, we're anywhere from 4 to 450. We try to get that, and we have to get those core lifts reps in 2 lifts in a week. We're doing 3 lifts, three lifts in the off season, so you're trying to get 900 total reps in your core lifts in a month. That's a lot of volume. That's what we want to work up to. But if they can't handle it, don't push it. All right, and we'll talk about that. So if you look at the program, it's a very basic program, okay? Everybody's like, well, I mean, this is pretty simple. Yeah, it's simple, because do the simple things right, and then you're going to get stronger. Basic stretches, the warm-up, they do basic stretches. They'll do some mobility stuff at the very beginning, because we got an hour with them in the weight room. They do basic stretches. They walk in the weight room. Then we start, you know, we do different blocks where we do our Olympic movements first. Then we do our strength and power movements second. You know, we do our upper body. We did a total body every single day. And then people are going to ask you, okay, what about percentages? Well, we have the opportunity at IMG. We have a lot of technology. Now, I don't like to present on technology because a lot of you guys out there don't have technology. So you use percentages. Well, here's what we do. We don't use percentages. We have Elite Form. We've used Perch. We've used all kinds of other velocity-based systems. And what we do is we put a speed band on it. So right here you see there's a velocity-based speed band, 1.8 meters per second. We tell the athlete, move it at 1.8 meters per second. If you move it at 2.0, put weight on the bar. If you move it at 2.5, put weight on the bar. You move it at 1.8, stay. You move it at 1.7, take weight off the bar. It's pretty simple, isn't it? All right, we're training kids anywhere from 10 years old right now up to 19, 20-year-old kids. I've trained college athletes. I've trained young kids. I've trained 8-year-old kids. I've trained 5-year-old kids. And you know what? It works. Teach them how to pick a bar up off the ground correctly. Teach them how to squat correctly. Teach them how to do a push-pull correctly. And we'll go over technique here in a second. But they understand how to do it. So once you take the time and you teach them exactly what to do, they understand what they do. And you see the sets and reps. It's very basic. And this is an example of a velocity zones that we talk about. So if you got any questions, and you can just look that up on Google if you want to. You can search that. It's pretty simple if you want to know more about velocity-based training. Dr. Mann did a good job with that. He started pretty early. He does a really good job. He's at the University of Miami. So that's a guy you need to check into. You know, Coach Moffitt did a phenomenal job with it at LSU. You know, I had an opportunity to work under him. I mean, cutting edge, all that stuff, did a great job. I remember back in Missouri, back in 2000, when I was at IMG the first time as the head of the department, I was back in 2009 or 10. I visited Missouri, and they were doing a lot of stuff like that because Dr. Mann was on the staff there. So they were early on. But if you're not going to grow in this industry and you're not going to learn about all this technology stuff, you're going to fall behind. All right, because that's where we're going. That's where we're going. David Blue at Alabama. Matt Ray at Alabama. You hear all that. You hear all that because they're the ones that are in front of the camera. They get a lot of notice because of Nick Saban. They do. Let's be honest. But there's a lot of great coaches out there that don't work in a big program that do the same stuff. So, you know, but it's just telling you that is where this business is going. But at the end of the day, it's all going to revert back to the old school way of doing things. Just lift weights, just get stronger, just move better. That's all it is. That's what it comes down to. You can have all this fancy stuff, and I challenge every single teacher and coach out there, whatever generation you are, okay? Because a lot of newer generation coaches I deal with, they come in, they're very knowledgeable, they read all these books, they come in and they know all this stuff, but when it comes time to implement it and have a relationship with your athletes, they don't do well. So challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zones every single day to, you know, do different, do better, do simple better. Does that make sense? So that's important. It's all important. Anybody got questions on that right now? Come on.
You always front squat before you back squat?
Variations. I mean, there's 1,000 ways to squat. So I got a question for you, okay? How many different ways are there to squat? Yay! Turn up. So don't be married to just one thing. Don't be married to just one thing. There's a lot of ways to get strength. You want to get them to as powerful as possible, right? Goal is everybody in this room want to get your athletes as powerful as possible, right? All right. Do you do HIIT training? Do you do Olympic-based program? Are you a power-based program? What kind of training do you do? Are you a functional trainer? I mean, there's 1,000 ways to train an athlete to get them there. Goal is get them there as fast as possible, keep them healthy. You agree or disagree? Agree. Okay. Early on in the business, when my ego was really big, it was, there's only one way to do things. There's not one way to do things. There's a million ways to do it. There's a million ways to accomplish it. Figure out what works for you and do it. If you believe in it and you trust it, do it. Be confident in it. Confidence is key to success, right? Yep. What you put into life is what you get out. I'm a firm believer in that. I lived it every single day. All right, I'm pretty passionate about what I do. I love what I do. All right, I got a great work ethic. I'm positive every single day. I make that choice every morning. I wake up in the morning. I'm gonna be a positive one, and I'm gonna influence some people in a positive way. So don't get married to one thing. If you see an athlete, I got a question for you. Are you gonna make your athletes hold the catch like this if they can't hold it correctly? And you're trying to do a front squat? What are you trying to get out of it? See what I'm saying? Have them hold straps. What's the ultimate goal? Those are questions you got to ask yourself, okay? And that's what we do with these young kids. If he's not moving, coach, it doesn't feel right, okay? So first of all, we'll clean up the technique, we'll coach all this. But coach, I can't hold that position. All right, hold it like this, all right? We may do a front squat position, single leg squat, split squat, okay? Oh, that's a single leg split squat. That wasn't a front squat or a back squat. That's another way to squat. Instead of bilateral, now we're unilateral. So that's another thing. We do unilateral pretty much every day we live. We do something unilateral every day we live. Why is that? I used to do bilateral all the time, I ain't gonna lie to you. Back in the day when I didn't really know anything, which actually is the best way I ever coached was when I didn't know anything. I did simple better then because I didn't paralysis by overanalysis. You know what I'm talking about too, right? Early on in the business, when you know nothing, you're actually the best strength coach you've ever done in your life. And you didn't have a family at the time, and you didn't start making money, and then next thing you know, you do it for the right reasons. You do it for the athletes, but at the same time, you're like, I got to feed the family, I got to put food on the table. So, those are the best times in your life. Now I'm back to that point in my life. So, I've been very blessed. We'll talk about that later. Any other questions on that? We good? Awesome. Okay, so technique over weight. Let's talk technique over weight, all right? I'll bring athletes in all the time whenever we're trying to recruit them or they come in, and I want to get in front of everybody. I don't care if it's a football player, I don't care if it's a tennis player, I don't care if it's a basketball player, I don't care if it's a soccer player. I just want to get in front of them because I want to teach them. I get excited about teaching new people. You give me your problem childs, and I'll make it work. I'll take whoever you struggle with, and I'll teach the heck out of them. And I'll motivate them, and they'll know that I love them. Goes back to what Chad said. They want to know that you care before they want to know what you know. All right? So you got to get that point across. Get the point across to them that you truly do care about them. Because we do. All right? We do. And if you don't care about them, at least fake it till you make it. Because no athlete is ever going to work hard for you if you don't act like you care about them, put an arm around them and love them. All right? I got an example. This is a good one. Had one of my athletes, he broke both his hands this year. That was rough. So he was really struggling mentally, you know. And I walked up to him and I put my arm around him. And he looked at me and I said, man, this hug's for me, not you. And he gave me a hug, all right? Everybody needs a hug, right? Everybody needs a hug. I said, this hug's for me, not you. He gave me a hug. So then the next day he walks into me, he said, Coach, this hug's for me, not you. I said, man, that's fire right there, bro. That's so much fire. So again, little things like that. I do random things to get rise out of people. I want to read people based on how, you know, how I ask questions, and I just, hey, baby, how you living today? And if you go, whoa, 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 no, I can't attack you like that. I can't coach you like that today. You know what I'm saying? I can't teach you like that today. I can't push those buttons on you today. Because you got, and then, you know, you'll see if you use your eyes, they're coaches' eyes. You see athletes walking in like this. They got, what's going on? You all right? Everything good? Everything good back home? What's going on, fam? Yeah, my dad's in the hospital. Okay, all right. That makes the world of difference, all right? Now let's talk about teaching. Let's talk RDLs real quick. People struggle teaching the hip hinge. Do you struggle teaching the hip hinge? Do you? Okay. I'm going to teach you how to teach it, and it's so simple. I struggled. I never wanted to teach an RDL back in the day because I could not teach it. I couldn't teach it. All right, so stand up. Everybody stand up real quick. Come on. We got to move around a little bit, get a little blood flow. Get a little blood flow. All right, so first of all, I see athletes all the time do this. All right, sit up in your feet at hip width. They do this, right? Do you agree? Hip width. That's hip width, right, Coach? You've seen that a million times. This is hip width. No, it's not hip width. All right, so what do we got to do to make it simple to teach hip width? Take your right foot, put your heel against your other heel like this, like you're setting up to run the 40. Everybody knows that one. Now square that toe up. Now bring that toe straight up. Oh, shoot. Our feet are at hip width now. It's a simple way to teach it. So I would do that, and then I always relate to different things in training. All right, so now, hands on your thighs. Slight bend the knee. Throw your knees and hips back. Push your knees and hips back. You ready? Knees and hips back. Do you feel that in your hamstrings? Stand up. Slight bend in the knee. Throw your knees and hips back. Stand up. Squeeze your glutes when you stand up. Now, when we squeeze our glutes, don't lean back. It's another problem. You get athletes, they go here and they say, stand up. That's incorrect. You're going to hurt their back. So many athletes come to college with bad backs, bad knees, bad shoulders because their technique is taught incorrectly. And they come in, I give them to demonstrate. I said, that sucks. That is awful. That technique's awful. Well, yeah, let's fix it. And then you take 5 minutes with them and teach them and they fix it. So here we go. Slight bend in the knee. Throw your knees and hips back. Stand up, squeeze your glutes, bam. Basically, you're standing straight up. You're pushing through the floor, standing straight up. Now, once they understand that basic movement, now we get a little bit more advanced. If you get it down, then you tweak them a little bit. All right, guys, good job. Do a good job. All right, now, you're going to feel more in the hamstrings now. You ready for this one? Watch my knees. Push your knees out a little bit. Now, let's do the same movement. Slight bend in the knees, throw your hips back. Feel your glutes more, hamstrings more. Keep your knees out. Stand straight up, squeeze your glutes. Boom. I always say boom when I squeeze my glutes. They were like, they love it. They start laughing. All right, so that's how you do. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Holy moly. It ain't rocket science. If it was, I wouldn't be teaching it. All right, now, Coach Feely, y'all can have a seat real quick. Coach Feely talked about the complex that we did. So we would do, I've gotten great results out of this. Some people do not like to teach Olympic lifts. Why? It's too hard. They don't know how to teach them. If you don't know how to teach, then don't teach it. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I don't know how to teach something, I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to learn, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to do it. So how do we teach Olympic movements? Well, I just taught you one of the most important part of an Olympic movement is the hip hinge, right? So I'll get the athlete, I say, get your feet right, They'll go here, they'll be doing this. Okay, got my feet straight. Okay, RDL. So I do RDL, slight bend in the knees, RDL. We'll do 6 RDLs or 5 RDL squeeze. In the workout, you saw complex in the warm-up. We'll use a complex for a warm-up. We'll do a complex on Friday, 3 to 4 sets of 6 reps. You drop the bar down, that set don't count. Reset. I had a 17-year-old kid do 25 kilos on each side. Now, the technique wasn't great, but he got through it without putting that bar down. He fought. I mean, he's a good player. I'm lucky though. I got some freak athletes too. So, all right. So slight bend in the knee here. RDL 6. Squeeze. Stand up. Stand straight up. Squeeze. So watch my angle. Stand straight up. Squeeze. You got to watch that because they're going to want to do this. 6 of those. Then we go RDL. Stand up. Squeeze. Tippy toes. High pull. Down. Reset. And I'm teaching them just like this. All right. Go. RDL. Stand up. Tippy toe. High pull. Down. Reset. 6 of those. Then we go RDL, tippy toes, high pull, muscle clean. Sit your heels down gently. Reset for 6 reps. Then we'll go either to a back squat to a press, squat to a press. Take a picture. You can take a picture right now. Take a picture for mama. Reset. Or overhead squat. Yes, I can still bend. All right, reset. Or front squat to a press, variations. And then when we're done, we go back in front and we go at a static RDL position. You see, I'm holding it. My knee's going to shake like Chad talks about because you got to get in shape. All right, pull to the belly button, push. Pull to the belly button, push. Once we're done with 6, set the bar down gently. If you do your athletes through that pattern multiple times every single day, their cleans are going to be unbelievable. But everything's about patterns. Everything's about movements. How simple is that? Okay? And I always, I love messing with the guys. So we talk about competition. So we'll have the bar. You got to move the bar at 1 point, let's see. You got to move the bar at 1.8 meters per second on a hang clean. All right? So, I cheat a little bit. They don't know it. Because I'll do a muscle clean without them knowing. I'll pull the heck out of the bar. But we got velocity base on. I'll go, okay. I said, you want me to do it? You want me to beat your record? He said, yeah, coach, I got 2.12. So I said, okay. And I go, hit! And I'd pull that bar up as high as I could with my arms, and that bar, it'd be like 2.5, 2.8 meters per second. I said, man, you let old man beat you. I don't even work out no more. So get those juices flowing. Talk to smack. Compete. Challenge them. That's important. But most important thing in technique here is make sure you get the hip hinge, understand the hip hinge. All right. When we pick a bar up off the floor, all right, everybody say push through the floor. Okay, just don't say nothing. Push through the floor. Push through the floor. Are y'all going to talk today? Push through the floor. There you go. Thank you. Oh, my gosh. So, hey, push through the floor. So we set up, and we're setting up. We're picking the bar up off the floor. We push through the floor with our legs. We're using our legs. When guys are doing power cleans, I ask them, do you feel in your arms at all? Yes, you're doing it wrong. Do you feel in your back at all? Yes, you're doing it wrong. Do you feel in your legs? A little bit. Okay. Do you feel in your glutes or hamstrings? A little bit. Okay. So you have to do corrections based off what they're not feeling right. So push through the floor here. Put it up, push through the floor. All right. I had an athlete doing a power clean, and he had to do a triple with 286 pounds on a power clean. He had 2 reps, easy, and his 3rd reps he didn't get, and he missed it twice. So I asked, I said, what are you thinking? He said, I'm just thinking about the catch, thinking about the catch. I said, okay, let's forget about the catch. I want you to push through the floor as hard as you can, as hard as you can. And I want you to jump through the ceiling and jump shrug. And by doing that, and then at the last second, I want you to throw that bar to your throat. He hit himself in the forehead with the bar because he used great intent. And that's another thing that leads to, what is your intent in everything that you do? 1 rep at a time. Always focus 1 rep at a time. In everything you do, 1 rep at a time, 1 rep at a time. And if you focus on 1 rep at a time, and I learned that from Coach Moffitt back in 2003. And he would always be like, hey, Jeff, you need to make sure, and Tom would appreciate this Tennessee accent. Hey, Jeff, you need to make sure that they just focus just 1 rep at a time, okay? Even though it says 4 sets of 3, it's 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep. And you know what? And it's true because your intent on the bar, your intent on the movement needs to be 1 rep at a time because your intent is so high, you're going to get fatigue after each rep. But then sooner or later, body is going to what? Adapt. Stress. Stress is either, you know what I'm about to say, stress either debilitates you or motivates you. Okay? If you used to squat 300 pounds, we put 500 pounds on the bar, it's going to debilitate you, right? Right? You put the right amount of weight on the bar, it's going to motivate you. So don't ever forget that. And we can talk about stress and other things later. I'm on time. Am I okay on time? Good, because I got a lot of stuff to go through here. I'm on a roll right now. Can I get 2 hours instead of 1? All right, so here we go. Hey, let's talk squats, okay? So I have athletes come in, and everybody stand up real quick. Here we go. Stand up. All right, put your hands out in front of you. You ain't got to worry about putting it behind your head or anything. Hands out in front. Get your feet in your squat stance. Do a squat. So, hey, right here, squat. Now, when we squat, before we squat, I want you to squeeze your glutes. Remember I said, do not lean back. I want you to push straight up, squeeze your glutes. Then now, reach your arms out. We're going to do a counterbalance squat. Push your hips back and squat straight down. Go as far as you can go, then come straight back up. Squeeze your glutes. You stopped. Why'd you stop? Squeeze your glutes. All right, now this time, raise your hand if anybody felt it in their knees. Anybody feel it in your knees? If you feel it in your knees, reach your hips back. If you feel it in your back, squeeze your glutes. Now let's pull yourself down with your butt. Right here, squeeze. Now let's pull down slow. 5 seconds. Ready? 1, 2, throw your hips back. 3, 4, 5. Push straight up. Squeeze. Boom. All right. How simple is that? You got correction. Feel your knees. Reach your hips back. I want athletes to be able to correct their own problems. All right. Lawrence Seagrave, had an opportunity to work with Lawrence Seagrave. Phenomenal teacher, phenomenal speed guy. Y'all can have a seat. Phenomenal speed guy. He said this. He said, Jeff, he said, I want there to be 1 million Lawrence Seagraves out there. I didn't understand at the time what he was talking about. You need there to be 1 million of you out there teaching. Don't hold all the stuff. Like Tracy was like, I'm sharing you the secrets. Well, great, because we all share each other's secrets all the time, but there's really not many secrets out there. All right? The secret is be consistent, work hard all the time, and you know what? Come in with a positive attitude every single day. That's the secret. But Lauren always said, he said, I want millions of Laurens out there. There needs to be 1 million of you out there teaching, 1 million of you. Those are the influences that we have on when we come in contact with people every single day. That's the influence we have. So do they trust you enough to mimic you or be like you? If they're making fun of you and how you kind of talk all the time, that means they really do care about you. All right? I tell athletes all the time, if I'm not coaching you or teaching you hard, then I don't like you. I don't like you. And if they come in with a bad attitude, I say, hey, I'm not going to teach you today. You better go outside and come back in, look in the mirror, and come back in with the right mindset, because I ain't teaching you today. Well, coach, what, coach? Yeah, you go on with that little poor old me attitude. I'm not dealing with that. You're wasting my time. I'm putting my energy in people that want to be taught. I'm putting my energy in people who are going to be positive. You can be positive or negative. Coach Moffitt always said this. Actions trigger feelings and feelings trigger actions. Positive actions trigger positive feelings. Positive feelings trigger positive actions. Same thing with negative. So I gave a talk about 3 years ago. It's the person that's controlling you is the person in the mirror. That's what it is. You look at that person in the mirror every morning and you wake up and you get your mind right. You got to turn up, get your mind right. You know what I'm talking about, Chad? Yes, sir. So it's a mindset. Everything you do is a mindset. Teaching is a mindset. Teaching is confidence. You got to have confidence in yourself every single day when you wake up. You walk in that step, you're walking in, you're confident. Last time I spoke at a Hammer Strength Clinic, I think it was in Chattanooga back when I was at App State. And I talked about teaching with confidence. They want to know that you're confident in what you're teaching. If you're not confident in what you're teaching, don't teach it. Don't teach it. Go to the basics. Teach simple that you understand. If you don't understand it, ask questions, okay? Ask questions. Because that is the biggest mistakes out there. People do things that they don't understand. They do it because they saw it on social media. They do it because Florida's doing it. They do it because IMG's doing it. They do it because Coastal's doing it. Don't just do it to do it. Understand the why, the how behind everything that you do. Okay, let's go to the next exercise. Lunge, okay? How many ways? Oh, my man right there. Here's my man. What's your name? Andrew. Turn up, Andrew. Yes, sir. How many ways are there to lunge? Okay, all right. So there's no one way to lunge. There's 1,000 ways to lunge. Okay. So, biggest mistake with lunges. I used to hate teaching lunges because I was like, how the heck do I teach it? But I didn't know any better, you know, and over time you learn little cues and stuff, and you realize that, I mean, it's not that hard. So lunge. If I do a basic lunge, I'm going to go forward lunge, out, and then what do? Go straight down. It's a single leg squat. So squat straight down. Oh, I feel it in my knee. Sit your hips back. Straight up. Reset. Same concept going back. Backwards. Backwards lunge. Reach back. Down, up. Reset. There. Oh, we got a lateral lunge. We reach out, toes are straight. My hips go back. My knee goes forward, it's going to hurt my knee. Reach your hips back. Reset. Or you can do, a lateral lunge, whatever you want to do. There's all kinds of variations that you could do. But you ask them, you feel your knees? Yes, you're doing it wrong. Reach back a little bit. Do we want to adjust shin angle? If it bothers the knee a little bit, adjust shin angle. Everybody's got their own philosophy about shin angle. I mean, I've seen 1,000 posts out there right now. Well, the knee shouldn't go past the toe. And I mean, if they got good ankle flexibility, they can get their knees past their toe a little bit. But if it affects, if you feel it in the front of the knee, then you adjust. Everybody's got to get in their own groove. All right? We let everybody get in their own groove. Talking about picking stuff off the floor, we do trap bar deadlifts. Okay? We'll do trap bar deadlifts, have them stand up with it. I mean, we've got 17, 18-year-old kids ripping anywhere from 400 to 600 pounds off the ground with trap bar. But they didn't start that early. They progressed to it, okay? They progressed to it. But again, it's not about the weight, and their technique's really good. Technique's really good. Last thing, when I talk technique, let's talk bench press. Boy, oh boy, did I tell you what, we can go all day on this thing. Barbell bench press. The biggest flaw when it comes to hurting athletes' shoulders that I've ever dealt with. I've had so many athletes come to college with bad shoulders because you are what you repeatedly do. If you're repeatedly doing it wrong, then you're going to hurt yourself. If you repeatedly squat wrong, you're going to hurt your knees. You're going to hurt your back. You're going to hurt your shoulders. So I always ask athletes, I always ask athletes, show me your bench press. They go, okay, see your shoulders raise up? Yep. Feeling your shoulders? Yep. Feeling your back? Nope. You're doing it wrong. So I would always get them to set up, and I'll say, hey, chest up, shoulders down, squeeze, hold it tight. Big chest the whole time. Pull the bar down slow to the chest. Now, the old school way was 2 fingers below the nipple line, right, where the bar placement is. Why? 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 I like to go to sternum, because look at my arms. They're 90-degree angle. You see that? 90-degree angle. So look, right there, push straight up. You're going straight up, straight down. It's a pull, push, pull, push, pull, push. Do not let the weight control you. You control the weight. Never in the weight room ever do you ever want to relax within a movement. You want to control every part of a movement. If you don't, whenever you relax, that area you relax is where it's going to affect you. I mean, a little saying in power cleans, elbow bends, power ends. So as soon as you bend your elbows, when you go to do your pull on a power clean, you're coming up and you're finishing, you're getting triple extension, you're going to feel your bis and tris. So are your bis and tris stronger than your legs and hips? Nope. Nope. Keep your arms like that. Finish that pull, and then once you get done, then drive the elbows up and catch. Then drive the elbows up and catch. But on bench press, big chest, pull, push, pull, push. Donnie Thompson, Super D, good friend of mine, Columbia, South Carolina. If you get a chance to go see him, go see him. He is a freaking wizard. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. People confuse passion for crazy. They always do. If a person's there, he's like, and you think, this dude's crazy. No, listen to him. Listen to them, because they love and they're passionate about what they do. Now, it might work for them, but it might not work for you. All right? So go meet him. Go listen to him. Follow him on social media. He's a great friend. He's always been there day one. As soon as I got the job at South Carolina, I went to go see him. You ever seen Body Tempering Tools? The rollers, the Rogue stuff? That's him. That's him, because of the ex-wife. I don't know why I'm not going to say that. I love my ex-wife. I'm just kidding. So, hey, so what I'm saying is, it's because, so it's an unbelievable, another modality to use, okay? Something about Donnie Thompson that I love is this. He was the first American powerlifter to total 3,000 pounds. Now, we talked about stress debilitating you and motivating you, right? He figured out how to clean the body up and how to prep the body before he got up under all that weight. There's something to that. He's not walking around disabled. I mean, he looks good. He moves around well, and he's awesome. But he will share any information you ever need. I asked Donnie, this is why I went on this rampage about Donnie Thompson. I said, Donnie, got a question for you. You did powerlifting stuff, and then Groney's the strength coach at Eastern Washington now. Was it Presbyterian? Big Grown, big yoked up powerlifters. I said, hey guys, got a question for both of you. Do you bench press with your athletes in college? He said, what kind of bench press? I said, barbell. He said, are they competing in a meet? I said, nope. He said, why would you ever do a barbell bench press then? He said, so hard on the shoulders. I said, okay, interesting. But in our world today, we have to do it. Why do we have to do it? Because if I'm not teaching these kids how to bench press correctly where I'm at right now, and wherever they go, they're going to do bench press, more than likely, because everybody in the world does bench press with a barbell. But you can do dumbbell bench press. You can do push-ups on TRX. Oh, is that a variation of bench press? Push-pull, right? Love it. Love it. So make sure that you put your kids in position to be successful. Now, we didn't talk about this. 3 parts of lifting that you got to attack. You got to attack this. Everybody knows concentrics. You know what concentric is? The up part. Everybody knows what a negative is, or eccentric. Okay? And then iso holds. Iso holds on the RDLs. All right? What normally happens when you are rehabbing a return with a knee injury? What do they normally do when you rehab? All right, what do we do first? Isos, right? Why? Tendon strength, all that stuff, endurance, to be able to hold positions. What do they do after that? Eccentric, right? Do a light eccentric work, lighter weight eccentric to mimic a heavier load. Now you do BFR, you do a lot. We can throw BFR in there if you want to. And then they go into just a normal movement pattern. So when you're training athletes and you want to mimic loads, use those 3 things. You may sometimes have to go back to it in season to get them back to power, because there's some areas, and we'll talk about that, some of the sports science stuff here in just a second. But you may have to go back to that to get them where they need to go to correct some imbalances. Does that make sense? Train the total body. What you see in the mirror gets you a date. What you don't see in the mirror makes you a good athlete. You like that? That's fire right there. I usually say it another way. I'm not going to say it. But what you see in the mirror gets you a date. What you don't see in the mirror makes you a good athlete. Because the evolution of life is this. Man, I look good. I look good. I'm going to train that chest. I'm going to do bench press. I'm going to do some curls. I'm going to do some triceps. But what you're not training is the muscles on the backside that are important, that keep posture in place, that keep you healthy. And I tell this to parents when they come in. I said, you need to train your backside before you train your front side. And they just laugh. They also laugh. So, but evolution of life, what happens? We're tall, we got great posture, we're good, we feel good. We screw ourselves up because you are what you repeatedly do. We walk wrong, we end up changing our patterns. And then what happens? Gravity kicks in. It's evolution of life. So how do you fight the evolution? Train what you don't see in the mirror. Because we always focus on what we see in the mirror. Always focus on what we see in the mirror. Train what you don't see in the mirror. That's important. Okay? Anybody got questions on technique stuff? Is that simple? Pretty simple? Pretty simple? Good. Actually, it's really not simple better. It's actually complex when you really think about it. So, all right. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So now we just talked about programming a little bit. We talked about technique. We talked simple things in programming technique. Now let's talk about the big pink elephant in the room. Okay, this is the area where, you know, I'm the dumbest guy in the room. I had no clue about anything about how reading charts, anything like that. I had to be in the eye of the storm. I had to learn on my own, and I had other coaches to help. So at IMG, we have Catapult, we have ForceDecks, we have Nord boards, we have velocity-based training. We got all kinds of sports science. We got 5 sports scientists. We collect data. We do all that good stuff. Now, I don't want to, load you down with this first. I'll talk about that in just a second. I want to load you up with, okay, I don't have the sports science pieces. What do I do? Top right corner right here. This is a wellness chart, all right? So you chart wellness, okay? And I'll tell you my thoughts on this about 6 years ago. And then you got an RPE chart. So everybody know what RPE stands for? Rated perceived exertions, you know? So 1 being very light, 10 being max effort, 10, 9, it's probably like game day. 10, 9 is kind of like game day. All right, and then wellness app here, you get sleep, stress, fatigue, muscle soreness. All right? So if you do these, if you actually chart this with your athletes, you're pretty much doing about the same thing as the technology. But you don't need the technology. I know that 6 years ago, I didn't want to do it because my freaking athletes wouldn't do it. They wouldn't. You get mad at them. They wouldn't do it. So ended up, We ended up educating them on what it did, and you showed them the purpose and the why behind it. And then the days that you go and you show them the charts and the days they're really fatigued and tired neurologically and physically, you show them the changes in their RPEs and in their wellness app, and you can go and link it back to what the problem is. And then once you show them that, and they're feeling like crap, and you show it to them, you say, yeah, obviously, because look where your body is right now. You're not sleeping enough. You know, you had bad sleep last night. You had bad sleep 2 days ago. It's catching up with you. So these are ways to accomplish things with the sports science stuff is today, okay? I always want to give gold nuggets to people. I don't ever want to give you information when you don't have the tools. So I got to give you some tools. There's your tools. If you want those charts, Google them. You can find anything on the internet nowadays, okay? Mike does a good job. He probably puts it out on social media. He puts it all out there. So he's probably got something out there too. If not, you can put it on for me. All right, so anyway, so just look it up. Okay, now, why do we need all this? All right, we already talked about athlete readiness. We had an example. We had a quarterback last year. We did his force stacks. So let's talk force stacks real quick. That's when you jump. We do a counter movement jump. They jump straight up and they push through that floor. Aha, push through the floor. You heard that one before. All right. When you think force, okay, always you want force to what? Go up. That's simple, right? Understand. You want force to go up. When you say time or eccentric duration is what we usually measure on there, or time on the ground, what do you want time to do? You want time to go down. You want time to be fast on the ground, and you want force to go up. So it's just like running. You want to spend less time on the ground to produce force to go. How simple is that? It's pretty easy to understand now, right? When somebody explains it that way. So you want your charts to go force up, and you want eccentric duration to go down, all right? We use that to monitor our athlete readiness. I had an athlete whose force was down, his eccentric duration was slow. We went and told the football coach. He said, man, and we graphed the whole team average. And we told the coach, it was like, hey, the team's fried right now. He says, funny you said that. Our quarterback just came to me and said, his legs are dead. I said, okay. What's your plan this week? We got a bye week. What's your plan? He said, well, I was going to practice on Monday through Friday and then give them off Saturday and Sunday. I said, no, don't do that. I said, coach, and I always told the coach beforehand, I'm going to let data guide you, not drive you. That's what you got to do when you communicate with your coaches. All right? Let it be a guide for them. Because if you try to drive them with data and they don't respect you, they're going to shut down. They're not going to listen. They're not going to listen. You know, I've had some situations like that in my career. And you know what? Injuries pop up like crazy. So I told the coach, and I built it up too. I said, do you want bullets in the chamber all season, or do you want bullets in the chamber first 5 games? Because you can blow them up first 5 games and you're going to have nothing left. Or do we want to play all season? I want to play all season. All right, so if your load and volume in training during the week is the same week 1 as is week 12, you're done. You're going to, why? Why are we doing that? Question I asked him, I said, you're taking a test. If you're taking a test and you know the answer to that, you got like 100 questions. And then 25 of the questions, you know exactly what the answer is. You spit them out like that, right? Are you going to study those 25 questions, or are you going to study the other questions that you don't know? You're going to study the other questions you don't know. So I said, coach, if the athlete knows how to run the play, take him out. Every play you run with him that he knows, it's going to take a play away in the game on Friday. Something that's interesting. We had an athlete, first game, had a total body cramp. We go and look at his loads on his GPS. We look at his force stack numbers. His player load and his volume was equal to a game player load and volume 2 to 3 times during the week. The guy was an Energizer Bunny. He plays lacrosse now at Ohio State. So we cut his load down tremendously. We worked on hydration, did all the other things too that you do. 0 cramps the rest of the season. Just a tweak like that, a simple tweak, okay? So understand, this stuff helps do what we've done our whole careers, but actually it throws a little CYA in it. You need to have some CYA. That's why you got to learn it. Now you got facts in front of you for what we've always done. And the coach's eye, when you see an athlete not moving as good and the bar's not moving as fast, you're like, uh-oh, something's going on. Red flag, red flag, red flag, right? And this helps you that. It gives you instant feedback to it. Now, what I am going to ask, though, is zoom out. Zoom out. What I mean by that is this. if you zoom into the data, there's so much data there, it could get frustrating. So zoom out, pull out simple things for you and use it. Do simple better. So we always say this: see a little, see a lot, see nothing. So see a little bit of data, and you see a lot out of it. But if you see a lot of data, you see nothing, right? Because you get caught up in it. Now you can dive as deep as you want to in it, analytic-wise. We use Kitman Labs right now, and they push all our information through Kitman Labs. They make those beautiful graphs that, you know, I don't know how to do with a Google Sheet. That's why I have other coaches that are good with Google and all that stuff. But, you know, that is very, 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 very important in this industry. All right, very important in this industry. Okay? Now, we talked about stimulus. We talked about stress. Stress debilitates you or motivates you. So, training loads here. Okay? How are you adapting? All right? If you adapt just right, then you're ready to play. If you don't adapt right, you're not ready to play. So all this can be practice, it can be lifting weights, it can be running, it can be not sleeping, all that, okay? And then if your body adapts right, if it doesn't adapt right, then you're not ready to play. What you do in the spring, did this in college and I saw it, what you do in the spring will affect you during the summer. What you do in the summer will affect you in the beginning of the season. What you do at the beginning of the season will affect you at the end of the season. There's an accumulation effect from all the way from the spring to the season. So there's a lot of coaches out there that think strength coaches are gods and then we can, you know, heal you and you're healed. I mean, no, we can't do that. Body don't work that way. If you don't have modality tools, like Tracy talked about, to get recovery and all that stuff, let me tell you the best way to recover. Sleep, eat, hydrate, and another best way to recover is after 2 to 3 hours of your activity and what you do, tell your athletes, hey, go on a 30-minute walk tonight. Put your earbuds in. Go watch a video, watch a movie. Go on just an easy walk. By doing that, what are you doing? You're increasing blood flow in the body. You're bringing healthy blood in. It's going to help you recover. It's simple. But it's not. We're not speed walking. Okay, we're not speed walking. We're just cruising. We're just walking. We're just cruising. We're getting our minds right for the next day too. And it's good to release all the stress you got going on. You know, Kyle Dietz even said that. I've used that a lot. I had an athlete come in. He came in day one. He said, Coach, I got to do extra cardio. I said, whoa, time out. Trust the training that we do. And if you want extra cardio, just go on an easy 20, 30-minute walk every night. Every night, he sent me a picture of him walking. I got an athlete today. I told him this 2 years ago. And every day during the week, he sends me a picture of him walking. Accountability. Everybody wants to be held accountable. Everybody wants to be held to a high standard. So, you know what? Do that. That's what teachers do. That's what teachers do. And hold them to a high standard. Do simple better. Do simple better. Anybody got questions on that? All right, here we go. Real quick. I'm going to go over this quick. So these are some pretty charts. So this is our, you know, I took these charts because I work with baseball too. So right here, the first chart is takeoff peak force. So when we talked about force, what's force supposed to do? Go up, right? So takeoff peak force is right here. So look at what the chart looks. Everything's going up like you want. That's beautiful, okay? The black line is takeoff peak force divided by body mass. So it took body mass out of it and see what the true peak force is. And look what happened. So here and then right here, we ended up breaking them down. That's January, so they reported in January, and then watch what happens when they go into a training phase. Boom. That's almost kind of perfect in what you want. Does that make sense? Down here, rate of power development, concentric rate of power development, and concentric impulse, and it all needs to go up, and you're seeing that. The first one is, you know, rate of power development, that's the blue, and then the black line is impulse. So it depends on how you dig deep into it, if you want to dig deep into it, okay? But that's, you know, that's very simple. When you talk about force, you're talking about concentric impulse, you're talking about rate of power development. You want it all to go up. You want more power into the ground, all right? Pretty good on that? Everybody good? Simple better, right? That ain't simple. Player load. All right, let's talk player load. Here we go. So we talked about that earlier, okay? Games right here. All right, you should have your higher loads at the beginning of the week, not at the end of the week. All right, and we try to do a good job of educating the coaches on that. on, more high-low training. You know about high-low training. Everybody knows high days have a low day, high day, low day, okay? So we try to keep the model. This is, pretty nice here because you have a high day. Usually on Monday is nothing, and then right here is a high, I'm sorry, that's Sunday. Monday's a high day, and then everything starts trickling down, and then Thursday is usually a walkthrough, and then boom, Friday. All right, then down at the bottom is top speed mile per hour, and talks about the dark blue line is more game day speeds, top speeds, and the light blue line is, practice speeds. This line right here came from me taking an athlete who was injured, and I basically spiked him when he was injured with a hamstring, and he set a PR for his max velocity. So we've got to figure out how we can get our athletes to give great intent all the time so that they hit speeds during the week, and it could be also, it's manipulation too in swimming too, for speeds in swimming. So how can we get them to hit top end speeds during the week so then before they get to a game, they've already hit it, so they're not hitting top end just in the game. If they hit it just in the game, what's going to happen? Pop, something's going to happen. Or they're going to get fatigued quick, okay? We threw in a safety marker this year on a Wednesday. So if they played Friday, we ended up doing what we did, a spike on Wednesday. We would warm them up, and then after we warmed them up for about 10 minutes, we'd do a dynamic warm-up, simple dynamic warm-up, and then we'd go and get in the end zone, and I'd set up cones at 20-yard increments, so a total of 60 yards, and we would do rolling 60s. We'd do 3 rolling 60s at the beginning of practice. Now we're hitting our top-end speeds, trying to get them spiking on that Wednesday. Now, ultimately, you don't want to have to do that because they hit it every day at practice because the coaches set up practice schedule where they're spiking. We weren't doing it enough, so we had to put that safety marker in there. All right, and it helped clean up a lot of soft tissue issues. So, but again, all this is great and all, but you better have great GPP. You better have a great work capacity. Had a situation where we had 2 bye weeks back to back, and coaching staff didn't practice like they're supposed to. We lifted them 2 days a week, and guess what happened? They had 4 games left. So what happened when they don't practice? They got out of shape. Okay? When they get out of shape, guess what happened? Guys come in the weight room, they were sore, we had to kick them out, we had to manage, we had to Band-Aid everything. So make sure you have a coach who understands how to program, make sure you have a coach that understands how to practice correctly, and just educate them. But there's years and years of that old school mindset of, oh, we're just gonna grind their tail. All right? Yeah, well, there's a way to do that, but there's a way to do it the right way. You can still grind them if you want to, but let's make sure we do it the right way, all right? And go back to what you said about mental toughness, all right? Running a guy on the ground until he pukes don't mean he's mentally tough, okay? I've seen a lot of athletes that go on and play in the NFL make millions of dollars that weren't mentally tough, all right? I've seen a lot of great athletes that go on and play in the NFL, they ended up being first-round draft picks that coaches said that, oh, he's not gonna make it. I got one right now that when we showed up at South Carolina, everybody wanted to kick him out. Oh, man, he's awful. He doesn't do everything right. He doesn't do everything right. He doesn't know. He grew up in South Miami. He doesn't know. So teach him. Teach him. I was an Uber service. I went and picked him up every single day. Now, you know what? He saw us speaking of this. He said, man, fire, coach. He said, I'm so jacked for you. I'm so happy for you. I hope you're doing well. Go pick him up. Help him. Some of them don't know. They don't have mentors. They don't grow up with people around them like we had. We didn't have people. He don't have people around him. He's around bad people. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Where his friends he was hanging out with, he didn't have a good future. He got out of there, and now look at him. He's doing well. That's life. That's life. Any questions on that? Are we good on that? Good. Awesome. All right. How are we doing on time? Good. I got 10 minutes? Oh, man. I'll try to cut this thing short. Good, perfect. This is perfect. All right, here we go. This is fire right here. Turn on, let go! Hey, so let me tell you a little bit about the pictures on the right, okay? In my path, traveled, and places I've been, all that stuff, had an opportunity. We adopted Olivia and Cole when they were preemies. When I was at Florida in 2012. It was September 11th, 2012. My little girl came home. She was born, 2 pounds, 8 ounces. My boy was born 3 pounds, 2 ounces. And she came home in September. He came home in October. And they're a blessing. I was in the grind. I was in the rat race for so long. And Me and Chad were talking about how you get time with family. So this leads to me saying this. You're in this industry, okay? This industry will eat you alive. This industry will put you behind the 8 ball financially, okay? The sacrifices are good. So you got to sacrifice early on when you're young. But I'm not going to sit there and work a job making $50,000 to $30,000 the rest of my life because I'm never going to get ahead, okay? So, and there were a lot of sacrifices I made, and now I'm at a point I'm happy, my family, everything. I've never been able to go on a trip. We went to Discovery Cove, got to swim with the dolphins. I mean, the vest was so tight right here, it made my triceps look huge. I mean, unbelievable. So I showed that. So a great story is, and talking about being transparent with the athletes, ended up, I was going to miss a post-grad football game. And I told the guys, I said, guys, I love you. I said, but I love my family more. They said, Coach, I get it. I said, I'm going to get an opportunity to go do something I've never been able to do because I was always in college working and I always missed out because recruiting is 24/7. And y'all know what I'm talking about. I said, I get to go to Discovery Cove with my family. They said, oh, Coach, go. You better go. If you don't go, we're going to beat you up. We're going to fight you. I said, okay. All right. So then I came back and I showed everybody this picture. I said, this is what you allow me to do, and I appreciate you so much. And I tell every athlete, I talk about my family, I talk about my kids, I talk about the love I have for them. And I said, just do me one thing. When you grow up one day, be a great father, be a great mentor, be a great brother, be a great boss. You don't have to disrespect anyone. Without one, you don't have the other. Everybody's important in this room. The janitors are important. The people outside working and cutting trees and mowing grass, everybody's important. Treat people like you want to be treated. Just because you have an emblem on your chest, just because you're a highly talented person in the business, or you may be a guru or something, you're just like all of us. There's nothing different. You make money, guess what? With a lot of money is a lot of problems. You agree or disagree? A lot of money is a lot of problems. So take care of you. Be respectful to everyone. And at the end of the day, I sacrificed a lot for young kids to develop them. And I sacrificed a lot of my time for my family, and now I got it back. And that's more important because there's no athlete going to ever write you a check for $1 million. If there is, let me know because I want to train him. But he's not going to write you a check for $1 million and all the time you invested in him. But they're going to come back and thank you for what you did. But don't lose sight on what the real thing is. You always say, be where your feet are. Just be where your feet are. And I disagree. I can go on all over it. Be where your feet are. I always preach. Be where your feet are. Be where your feet are. Okay? I got fired after the Clemson game. I think it was 2019. Coach let me go. Next year he got let go. You know, it's typical in the industry. And we have a mountain house in Banner Elk. So we've had it since 2015. And me and my wife and my kids, we're driving out. We're driving down the mountain. I look over and I say, oh my God, babe, look. I said, look. You see that nest and that bird on top of that house right there? Oh, that's unbelievable. She said, Jeff, that nest and that bird's been there since 2015, since we bought the house. I'm like, what? She said, yes. She said, you're just now seeing it? I was like, damn. I'm definitely where my feet are. Got to be where your feet are. So if you peel back the layers of stress in the industry that we're in, and you peel them back, then you start seeing the real world with clear eyes. So try to do a good job of peeling back the layers of stress and see the world with clear eyes. And you know what? I say this, don't be where your feet are, be where your kids and your wife's feet are. That will put you in that moment. So I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about it right now. But spend time with friends and family that you love. Because with the way the world is today, it's good versus evil. And you're losing a lot of people out there. I've lost a lot of friends that I've loved in the past 3 months, and it made you realize, a good friend, Trevor Mowad, who hired me at IMG the first time, 48 years old, all of a sudden I get a text, he died of cancer. Didn't tell anybody. That's typical Trevor. I love him. He's the guy walking, hey, Jeff, look, man, you got something behind you here. Whoop, got money. Love Trevor. And that hit home. That hurt. That hurt so bad. 48 years old, still young, dies of cancer. Didn't tell nobody. That's just Trevor. He worked with Russell Wilson, mental condition coach for Russell Wilson. And that just reconfirmed, everything I just said like that. So at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when they bury me, my kids are going to know me as daddy They're not going to know me as coach, and they're going to know that I did what I had to do to be with them and sacrifice my time with them. And I love them very much. And I love my wife, and I love all my athletes, and I love everybody I come in contact with, because that's what this is about. It's all about love. Have love for people, care about everyone, and then see the good in everybody. And that's my flaw. I see the good in everybody. I see the good in everybody. So continue to have that mindset every single day, and I promise you, you'll be successful in whatever you do. But look at life with clear eyes and be where your feet are, and be where your family's feet are, because that's what's most important. Okay? Anybody got any questions? Turn up, get your mind right. Hey, 2 claps in the booth. Boom!
Thank you, Coach. Coach.
Appreciate you.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll move on here to
Was I on purpose, Tom?
get rolling with our final speaker. And
I scared that thing. Look, high tech. I didn't know how to do that. Somebody taught me. Look at QR code. Is that what's called? That's pretty high tech, isn't it? I mean, that's simple. That's simple.
that's good stuff, Coach. Our final speaker will be our gracious host, and that I've known for over 30 years. Coach Randy Popple is the coordinator and director of strength and conditioning here at Florida Gulf Coast University. I've known Randy, like I said, for over 30 years. Randy is a graduate of the University of Florida. He started his strength training career at the University of Florida, and has moved on from there and became the strength coach at the Minnesota Twins. As Randy gets mic'd up here. How we doing, Coach? He was also, when he was at the Minnesota Twins, he, Pops, what was it, 2002 when you went to the World Series?
We went close to the World Series.
What's that?
One game away from that.
Okay.
The year that Anaheim Angels won.
Gotcha. And then from there, he's you came here in what,
2007.
2007, and has been here since, and has built this beautiful new weight room here. And without any further, Coach Randy Popple. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate Hammer Strength coming here and showing off this weight room that Tom and I talked about for like 13 years. When I got here, they told me we'd have this place in 3, and it took 13. But we finally got it, and it came out outstanding. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I've done in my career, especially being here, that we've always had to have plan A and B anywhere I've ever been. Everybody knows you got to have that backup plan. But here, we ended up having to have plan C because we really didn't know how things were going to go. When the restricted amount of space we had that was very small in this room. So I'm going to talk about a few things that I made to help me get through my plan C. We had a large push box, which is here. I've made some other pieces of equipment, and I'll talk about each one of these, and we'll go through what the purpose of them was and how I put them together. So if you want to use your imagination and help yourself work through things and do a better job with different kinds of equipment. This push box here, the volleyball team loves this thing because they actually use this as well to stand on to hit balls down from the net. So they use this box. I built this about 12 years ago. There's carpet on here so I can slide it on the floor. And this side is open. It's braced well so someone can stand in it. But also we can put, your partner can get inside the box to add more weight to the box. And then we push this on the floor in the arena. So this nice carpeted area allows us to be able to drive this across the basketball court without doing any damage to it. And we can either use one athlete or 2 athletes pushing. You can push it forward and you can push it backwards. And if we want to build more strength with it, we put someone inside. If we want to build more speed or interval, then we just use one person by themselves pushing the box. So this is how we use this box. And then you can set it down on the floor, and that's how it looks. If you want to build something like this, you buy the materials that are listed, you do all the cuts, paint it, and then start putting the frame together. By the time you get done with the frame, the paint's dry, and then you build the other around it. Find some nice caster wheels so it's easy to roll around, because you don't want to be doing the workout and pushing the box like the athletes are. I cut a little holes in the side so that I can grab it with a handle and flip it up. That way you don't have to try to dig your hand underneath. I got the carpet from a local carpet company. They gave me their remnant carpets, which were free because it was just pieces. Wrap it over the box, tuck it in, nail it in with some carpet nails, and everything's covered and taken care of. If you feel like you need to, you can put a carpet adhesive on the back of this and it will stick right down to the box. The next one I did was these boxes. We realized that we needed a sled for indoors. So we built a box just out of plywood and 2x6s, reinforced it with some angles, screwed those in, and then wrapped this in carpet as well. And you can see we can put a 45-pound plate in here, 25-pound plate, whatever size you need. You can put 3 or 4 in there, or the box is big enough that you can have your partner sit in the box and go for a ride. When we built this with the straps, we didn't want to have to turn around and do it, so we put a hook on both sides. So when you finish going one direction, you just pull it over the top and you can pull it the other direction. Now this you can pull running forward. If you want to do interval work, you use less weight so you can move the box quicker. If you want to do strength or power movement, then you add more weight into the box. You can pull this forward or you can pull it backwards. So you can concentrate on the back side or the front side. And that's wrapped with carpet, same idea. I just went down to the carpet place, asked them for their carpet they were ready to throw out, and they gave me all that for free. The next one I have, we needed something to do heel raises with, and for doing dorsiflexion. We had the bands. We came up with this to put the band around the bottom here, and as you can see here in the picture, you can put your foot underneath the band, so you can do dorsiflexion using the band, or you can use it to do heel raises. This thing's very simple, very inexpensive, 2x4 with screws in it. And we made 20 of those, so we had one for every rack. The next one, this is just one of many, the incline board. We did one this size so we can keep the stance narrow, or we can put 2 of these side by side so we can widen the stance. We have 30 degree and 45 degree, and we just cut the back 2x4 at the right angle, put the plywood on the top and the plywood on the sides, and then for some of the ones that we have that are longer by themselves, we have another piece in the middle, just to give it a little bit more reinforcement. So that's another one of our boxes. Does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff? All right. The next one the parallel bars. We built these. Obviously, you can do these for all kinds of exercises. This gives you a lot of variety of things to do. And you can go online and you can buy these in kits, or you can just go down to the store and buy your own PVC and put your own pipes together. And this is not glued. It will stay together without that. You just put these pieces together here. Slide this one on there. There you have those. They're very simple to build, very inexpensive. And like I said, these you can use for doing a lot of different exercises. And they're very portable inside, outside, wherever you would like to do your exercises. Which one is this? Prowler. Let me grab this out of the way here real quick. That's how you take the band off. Comes off nice and easy. This piece of equipment was huge for us because we had to do a lot of work outside. When we had larger groups, we actually used to set up our circuit out in the front of the stadium, of the arena here, and we would use the prowlers up in the front when they would bring the new students by to check out the university. They would love to hang out and watch us do our circuit. But these are this. Actually, I looked at a prowler and how to make it. My welding skills aren't as good as I'd like them to be, so I actually had a friend of mine come and look at this. These prowlers were $75, made by a friend of mine. If I buy these prowlers, they're $300. So I was able to get 4 of these for the price of 1. It's a very simple setup. You do the skids, the thickness of the skid. We changed the plan the second time. We redid the skids because we actually wore these out. But they countersunk the screw into here so that the screw doesn't get touched anymore now. And it's a very simple design. We have a hook on the front here so we can pull it. We can push with the handles here. We can push with the handles up here. These slide right out nice and easy. And 45-pound plate, 25-pound plates slide right over the top of this. So you can stack up as many plates as you would like to make this as heavy as you want it to be. And you can obviously design it to your school color. All right, the last one that I have is my big wooden sled. Let's see if I can get this where you can get a look at it. This can be pushed by 1 athlete. It's very heavy, or 2, or 3, or 4, and then you as a coach get the chance to ride on there. And you can direct the athletes. If one side, if they can't work together, or somebody's stronger than the other person, and one side gets ahead of the other one, then you just move to that side of the sled, and it will slow that person down and keep the sled even. So you can go side to side. This slides really nice on turf and on a regular grass field. It just slides. It's just wood. It's all pressure treated. There's a 45-degree angle cut on the back side so it won't dig into the ground. The side braces are up a little bit off the floor so that they won't dig into the grass. And this was the company that used to make these used to sell them for around $800 to $1,000. This is $186 worth of stuff. It took me about 6 hours to build this the other day. It's just simple carpentry work. And this sled will last sitting outside in the jungle for 11 years. My last sled, I just went out to look at it, and it's been 11 years, and that's its life's duration. So that one is done, thus the new one here. You have to be careful. we'll do some routing on this to sand the corners off a little bit, make sure it's safe and nobody gets hurt doing any of that. But this.
You just go to Lowe's or like a special lumber yard?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like with Lowe's and Home Depot and all them, they all have a certain budget for any of this kind of stuff that you want to build. They have a budget of stuff that they can donate to a school. So if you get there, if you do it ahead of time early enough, you can get set up with them and they'll donate whatever they can to you. So because I wanted to get this done in one day, when I found out that one was toast, I didn't have enough time to wait for them to go through their process of seeing what they could do for me. But I know in the past, the one that I had out there, I actually went to Home Depot early and I submitted everything I needed on letterhead, and they gave me half of the stuff I needed for free. And then I went to the other Home Depot and submitted the other half of the stuff, and they gave me the other half of the stuff for free. And the guy at the one Home Depot told me, he goes, hey, give me stuff, I'll give you as much as I can, then take the rest to the other Home Depot and see what he'll do for you. So I ended up, the last sled I did actually was completely free. It was just my labor. So a lot of this stuff that you do, you can go find out how much you can get. I've built, the pull-up bars that I have out on the field were completely free. I got 8x8s, I got the pipe. I actually went to a rental company for the auger. So I dug the hole with the auger. They gave me that for free, so I didn't have to go out there with a post hole digger because those things are in the ground. And I really didn't want to post hole dig that much. So all this stuff is, you just have to use your imagination. What do I need? What do I want to get out of an exercise for my athletes? And where can I use it? So I had to come up with indoor stuff, and I had to come up with outdoor stuff, and things that were relatively similar in what I was trying to achieve, so that I could, when lightning comes, we can make the adjustment and come inside. We're lucky here that we have a gym right above our head and we have the gym right out there. So usually we have a place that we can go in or out. Now that we have this facility, we also have the turf over there that we can use inside as well. This will obviously will not work well indoors. It's way too big, but with this sled, if you wanted to also, you can make it smaller so it's more like this. And you can do individual pushes with it, pulls. I've designed one for that. I just haven't had the time to build that. This works really well with me. I do a lot of circuit work with the soccer teams on Fridays in the spring. So we'll lift weights on Mondays and Wednesdays in here, and then on Fridays we'll do a circuit outside, and the big wooden sled is part of that circuit. I also we'll do the pull sleds outside. We have the ropes that I have that I'll take outside. We'll do med ball throws out there with that. So we set up a circuit out there. We also have a circuit that we'll set up right out front here on some days where we'll use the prowlers again outside that we have. We have a pull-up and dip bar that I had built. The guy that built me these also put in a pull-up and dip bar station right outside the door, right out here in the grass, and we can hook up our TRX straps to all those. So we have dips out there, pull-ups, push-ups. We have the sleds that we pull down the sidewalk over there. We use the stairs on this side of the arena here. The prowlers will be out front. We have bikes out there. I have the fountain that I use for split squats and step-up jumps, and then we'll do the ball throw things out there as well. So it allows us to have a lot of variety. And building this kind of stuff like this, for me, allows me to have the variety as well. And I can look at my outdoor circuit. What I did is I looked at what I wanted to be able to do outside, and then how would I be able to mimic that indoors? So if lightning comes, what equipment can we bring inside, and what equipment do we need to make and wrap in carpet that we can actually use indoors? So we can do the same type of circuits in two different places. And I know Kevin here, sitting here, volunteers with me a lot. One day we had a tremendous lightning storm come out of nowhere, and we had to make a huge change from outdoor to indoor. And when we only have so much time, you can't waste a lot of time. So it was a big flip to get the idea of what we had out there and get it upstairs and make it happen indoors. Does anybody have any questions about any of this stuff up here? How to build it or what you need to do? We also did the dowels, all these. These are an easy fix, an easy thing to make for doing your practice exercises and all that stuff. Tom, I thought this would take much longer. I know if nobody has any questions, Tom, I apologize that this went so quickly, but like I said, this big sled was about 5 hours of work, and I probably should have built it for you while we did this. I know I got excited about how fast I would and went through this really quickly, but the does anybody have any questions about anything?
Yep. I guess with just the wooden sleds, level of expertise with in carpentry work. As far as
long as you have to know how to use a circular saw.
Right.
And I will say this, if you do build something like this, the one thing that you would want to do to make it easy is once you make this front side here and this bottom piece together, you should lay it on its side and get this angle of this. Because after you put it together, which is what I did, then you have to get this angle right. You either got to be really good at math, or you've got to raise that thing up so that you can set the board on there and temporarily put it on and mark the sides and cut it. I also, the lag bolts that are in this one are a little bit bigger probably than they need to be. So you don't have to go quite so overkill with that. The sled itself probably weighs about 200 pounds. And this thing will sit outside, it can get rained on, and it will hold up. I mean, that thing stayed outside for 11 years. I would say it had 10 good years in it. I flipped the deck on it one time, but other than that, you don't have to worry about finding a place to store this thing. You don't have to worry about putting a tarp over it. It will last because it's pressure-treated wood.
Coach Popple, thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate it,
Thank you
Tom.
for your hospitality. We can't thank you enough for letting us into your house.
I appreciate everything you did for me here, Tom. This beautiful facility was something we dreamed about for about 13 years and
Long time coming.
Finally got together on it and got it done.
Yeah, it sure beats that closet you were working out.
Yes.
Done. Well, thank you all for attending and coming. We greatly appreciate it. You will be getting an email about your CEUs, so you can get accreditation for those. And I think, say what? Oh, yes. What is the videos will be available for 30 days? Am I correct on that? Yes. So if you want to go back and see any of the speakers, it's all been taped and it'll be available on their website, right? Very good. Thank you all for attending. Enjoy.
Three things that we talk about in the weight room all the time are safety, consistency, and teamwork. Safety is not only in the moment, making sure we're doing things right, because that's going to keep us healthy and keep us on the field, which is ultimately what we want, but making sure that our environment's welcoming. You can't look anywhere around this weight room and not see a lion, a red lion. It's everywhere. It's in your face. And I wanted that. And it's huge. And it's like another one of those things where with the old equipment, right? You could take that equipment, you could put it in any space in the world, and it would fit. This belongs here. And the people that come down here, you're Lions, you're part of St. Viator, you're part of this family, you're part of this community. It just gets people excited. It's cool to be able to use the weights with the Lions on them and just really show that pride in not only like the clothing that we wear, but now the equipment that we have too.